thechairshot.com. Always use your head.
The following is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
Warning. The Outsider's Edge contains strong opinions, unconventional views, and contrarian stances. Listen, if you dare.
Hey, yo!
Guerrilla tactics, it's time for warfare. Yo, we came to battle, yo, we aim to kill.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to another edition of The Outsider's Edge. It's your boy Rance, aka Ray Cash, and I am back after a very interesting week of wrestling. I got my brother with me, my Golden Lovers partner. I got Mr. Kyle Moores with me. How you doing, man?
I mean, I'm feeling some kind of way tonight about the week in wrestling, and it was too much for me to shit on all of this alone. So I put some calls in, and ladies and gentlemen, we promised you for weeks now that he is a real person. It's not a game. There's a third member, y'all, of the Outsiders Edge podcast. Brother Rance, tell him about our man.
Well, hailing from bumfuck Arkansas, weighing in at 101 pounds, he is the original outsider, Mr. Karl Irving. What's up, man?
Hey, what's going on?
After all that's it?
No, yeah, man, the stars have aligned, and this is the one episode, like, I've been so busy, and I feel like shit because I haven't been around. And I know tonight, after we're done, I'm going to want to be on here all the time again. And I know that's what's going to happen. But, so yeah, I haven't been around for a while. You guys know that. But this episode is can't miss. I had to be here for this. Because this is going to be, like, completely different probably from...
Yeah.
It's going to be the same way, but it's going to be just... we're usually the positive patties around here. Tonight...
Everybody going to get this work. Everybody.
It's trouble tonight. It's trouble. So thanks for having me back. Thanks for having me back to my show, guys.
Right, yeah, that you're a founding part of.
Yeah, thanks for coming back to your own show.
Yeah.
For the record, the Outsiders gimmick that me and him started, 7-8 years ago, he created.
Yeah.
It was his idea.
I mean, his handle is Outsider Kirby.
Yeah. Well, I'm the outsider, and now I'm not supposed to be here because I'm an outsider. Now I'm back.
Hashtag Karl's back, y'all.
Yeah, Ricky and Clive are going to enjoy the show, I think. They've been hashtagging that for a while now.
I mean, Ricky loves you anyway.
He does.
We all know where we stand.
And I love Ricky. He's my boo. And I hope he hears that. Ricky, you're my boo. I love you.
Look, this love affair between you and Ricky bothers me, okay?
Rance is just jealous. Don't let it.
I don't know if he's jealous because Ricky loves me more than him or because I love Ricky more than Rance. I don't know what he's jealous of. Or is it both?
Can I pick all of the above?
I was gonna say,
I think you can.
Rance could be petty if he wants.
Yes, I can. I'm around every day. I'm consistent. But no, I get the least love.
Well, that's because, absence makes the heart grow fonder. That's all it is. We're tired of you, dude. If you're around all the time, you get bored.
Oh. Speaking of absence, y'all, do we want to start the show with the shittiest part of the week?
I wish I could say I knew which one you're talking about, but it's so much.
Karl was talking about absences. Who do we know that's been absent for a while that's a walking pile of human trash?
Okay, before we start, let me say this. Let's break it down for the listeners. Number one, Karl said the stars aligned. We all woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning to record this. So when he says the start, no, I'm joking. He actually came on time. So we're going to call this episode affectionately known as the Get This Work episode because everybody don't get this work. So we're going to break down the show known as The Crown Jewel in many different ways, but not, hey, this match was good. No, They gonna get this work. This gonna get this work. That's gonna get this work, and so on and so forth. So yes, we might as well start with the most egregious moment of the weekend. Terry
Well,
Bollea. Oh,
ugh.
go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead, Kyle.
No. All I was gonna say is we should start with that man
Yeah.
because he's inconsequential to the storyline. We will hopefully not see him again for a long motherfucking time. And he's he's easily the grossest part of the weekend,
Yeah.
which is saying something, y'all, because that show happened in Saudi Arabia.
All right. So for those of you who didn't watch Crown Jewel, and by the way, of the three of this family here, I watched it. Um, they didn't, of course.
I was at
Carl.
work, yo.
Yeah. Kyle was being a functional human being, and Carl just living the gimmick of doesn't watch shit.
Well, in fairness, even if I'll say this, it was Friday afternoon. I was at work. However, if it had been on Sunday afternoon or Sunday night, I still wouldn't have watched it. So I can't even use that as a real excuse because I would not have watched it. Honestly, and I told you this before, the card itself, even if I didn't have an issue with Saudi Arabia, which I do, and all that shit, I wouldn't have watched it because the card looked like shit. It looked like shit. I had no interest in the card. So, I mean, yeah. But anyways.
Fair enough. I completely respect that. Um, so the show started off as the rumors that we were all hoping wasn't true. But the show started off with the dulcet tones of Rick Barringer singing I Am a Real American in Saudi Arabia
Does
for
anybody else feel gross when they hear that song in 2018 because of like how fucked up we are right now?
so in many ways I'm sure I could. I'm very good at compartmentalization. So I can appreciate the art and not the artist or who the artist is about. You know what I mean? So the song's still fire. But when I think of the song in general, it don't bother me. When I think of the song in relation to the person who it's about and him what he does, then I feel sick. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, I mean that makes total sense. I wasn't even talking about the Hulkster. I was just saying like I don't know.
Oh, because of the
Unabashed patriotism makes me a little uncomfortable.
yeah, I guess that's fair unless it's in a rock song, then we all love it. I guess I don't know.
I guess so.
Bruce
I don't know.
Springsteen's been torn off of being that for 25 years. So yeah, Hogan back.
Here's the thing before we even get into shitting on Hogan because we could shit on Hogan all day.
We could have a
All day.
whole just shit on Hogan episode, and I'm with
Like
that.
oh yeah. But for the people talking about, well, how long does a man have to wait until he can have a job again? Ain't nobody saying he can't have a job. He can greet people at Walmart or like flip burgers or
On a restaurant, like you said earlier, to the one that was
yeah,
racist.
yeah, like make your own version of cheeseburger in paradise. I don't fucking care what you do, but homie can't be on television acting like he's cool and talking brother, brother, brother. No, motherfucker, get your ass gone.
And before we go into Hulk Hogan, we just starting off the jump. Damn. So Kyle, I feel like Kyle and Carl might disagree with me on this, but what bothered me the most, besides him being around, is I didn't like the fans comparing them bringing back Hogan and saying, "Well, damn, they never gave China a chance." Chill the fuck out. Okay. Two egregiously different situations. Number one. Number two, China's got her just due in recent years. Okay. Number three, whatever happened between Hunter, Steph, and China, none of us know. But this is what we do know. China did. Nobody cares that China did porn. China did a porn where she fucked. She dressed up as Stephanie fucking her dad. Like that's a very clear attack on a family. You know what I mean? So it wasn't just back to one night in China. Nobody cares about that. It's you know what I'm saying? It's the very serious attack, or not to mention the many rants she did while she was high or drunk, attacking them or talking trash to them. Like, yes, things can be forgiven, but unfortunately, she's not here to be forgiven. They're not here to squash the beef anymore. So
Things
Right.
can be forgiven, but it's not like the company don't have a track record of not forgiving. Macho Man died before they put him in the Hall of Fame, and that's literally all they've done. They put him in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
You occasionally see his highlights in like the pre-show banner and shit, but like they do not give him any kind of shine ever.
not really.
Because whatever happened between Vince and Macho, Vince is going to take that grudge to the grave.
To be fair though, he's about the only one that he hasn't forgiven,
And we still don't know what happened there.
and we still know
Oh,
what
we
happened.
still don't.
But I don't like people using every excuse to bring the China argument when they don't know the truth or the real facts
Can I-
behind the China situation.
Can I be real a little bit with this? And this is gonna hurt some feelings probably. I love China, big fan. She's not synonymous with WWE to me. Like you can get as mad about it as you want. Hulk Hogan, while I'm with you, Kyle. There's no need for Hulk Hogan on WWE television in 2018. But the one thing you cannot deny about him
Yeah.
is that he's synonymous with WWE.
Not as
Like,
wrestling.
and I love China, okay, but to even compare the two, like, and this sounds terrible. I know how bad it sounds, but you cannot compare their impacts on professional wrestling. Maybe in China, like for China, like I feel like she was the start of something in a lot of ways in women's wrestling, but I don't feel like she was ever to the point where you put her on a Mount Rushmore. You know what I mean? I mean, Hogan, you still, to me, do, like, maybe not now, but, like,
Hogan's impact is undeniable.
right. He
Well,
carried the WWE for years. You know what I mean?
Wrestling.
But I don't think
Right.
people who are making that comparison were necessarily trying to put the two of them talent-wise on
No,
the
they
same
weren't.
level.
Yeah.
Well, if that's
I
the
think
case, they'd
what
put China
bothers
higher
people-
because she had more wrestling talent. That's for sure.
Well, I mean, that's the truth. Hogan was a shit wrestler. But no, I think what bothers people, and I agree, Rance, it is different for the reasons that you mentioned, but I think what bothers people is, at the end of the day, what China did was about a personal grudge. She didn't do something fucked up as a terrible person. Like, China fucked up a lot in her personal life. She did a lot of drugs. She
Mhm.
had a lot of fucked up demons, and she did that porno as a direct attack at Vince and the company.
Mhm.
But like, Hulk Hogan is a racist, misogynistic asshole,
he is.
and I think that's what people. I think that's why people are upset. But I also think that people don't want to think about the fact that but China directly attacked the people who own the company, and so
And Hogan
they
didn't. Yes.
personally get to hold the grudge if they want.
Right.
And
It's just, honestly, it goes, and we're going to talk about this later, and I won't spoil it, but we're going to talk about some of this stuff. Like, if you think about it in a lot of ways, a lot of times what happens to you personally, all the time, what happens to you personally will always affect you more than things that happen a little bit more on the outside.
Yeah.
You know, like people get like Hulk Hogan's a racist, right? We know that. Like, but Hulk Hogan's never walked up to Rance Morris and said some racist slurs to him. But if someone he knew, if I walked up to Rance personally and said something racist to him, he would hold.
fire at your ass.
That's what I'm saying, and he would hold that against me, right? And like it would be more personal, it would be more egregious to him than probably what Hulk did because I did it to his face. I did it as a direct attack.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And Hulk Hogan, what he did, what he said, it's a direct attack on a community as a whole, but it's not like we don't know Hulk Hogan personally, so it's not as personal more
But
than
even
anything
beyond that, China's attack was directly aimed at the McMahons. None of
Right.
the McMahons are affected by racism because they're all
Sure.
white.
Right. Yeah,
So,
that's
like-
true too. Yeah.
So like, and I'm not saying that to say that they're like that they themselves necessarily are racist. I don't know. I think Vince probably is a little bit because he grew up in North Carolina in the right time. So like,
In the trailer parks of North Carolina.
like y'all, I live in South Carolina. White people doing racist shit will never surprise me ever. I will never be shocked by racism.
Yes.
But I will say that they are less affected by Hogan's words on a personal level. So they are
Right.
more willing to forgive based on like window dressings of an apology.
Yes. And
Well,
that's
And-
plus, I mean, it's Saudi Arabia, and we already know they've essentially signed a deal with the devil that they can't. You know what I mean? And it's Hogan. Who knows what this Saudi prince guy wants to see? I mean, we've seen the results of this card. Like,
Well,
we
yes.
knew. Like, I'm pretty sure the Saudi prince might be. He's probably. How old is this guy? Our age? Older? Maybe a little bit older.
Yeah, he's like 34, something like that.
Yeah, so this isn't surprising, really. You know, this is the same
Sure.
guy, the same cat that a lot of us, especially me and Rance, probably, and Kyle, you too, grew up with. You know, like we know Hogan. We grew up a little bit with Hogan's career, some of us.
And
The only part of Hogan's career I grew up with was Hogan destroying WCW.
I want to further what you said though, Kyle, talking about how the McMahons don't necessarily have to be racist for this to not affect them, because it's not a direct attack at them per se. There's the majority of this country is Caucasian, so there are a majority of wrestling fans out there from 30 to older who grew up watching Hogan, and Hogan was their everything. They said their prayers at night because Hogan told them to. Took their vitamins because Hogan told them to. They believed in things that were good because Hogan told them to. This is really a thing. And so, while what he said was egregious and I'm not gonna say unforgivable, but unforgettable, uh, it doesn't affect them in the way it affects, say, me, Rich, or Jeremy. You know what I mean? So,
Facts.
or even you, because you're a minority yourself, Kyle. So, and I'm not saying that white people can't or aren't offended by this, but there's very clearly a market for him, because I guarantee you that shirt's gonna sell out. That just came back out again. It's gonna sell out because
Always
he's Hulk Hogan.
does.
He's
Yep.
he's Hulk Hogan. He is a uber popular, uber important, rich white man. He'll always have a place in this world, and unfortunately, consequently, in WWE. And there's nothing they can do about it. And the perfect time to bring him back from a business standpoint was in a completely other country who's never ever gotten a chance to see wrestling shows and to see their favorites, and don't care if somebody says anything negative to them because they're in their own world and they got their own shit to worry about.
And here's another thing to think about, because, and once again, I'll kind of foreshadow the fact of what we're going to talk about later. Vince has nothing to lose with this because he knows that while all of us sitting here in a little circle are angry and getting mad over here in the United States and blah, 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 it's a good business deal for him because Saudi Arabia is paying the money, and all of us, we're shitting on Hogan. Ain't none of us, we're going to fucking keep watching. And I mean, I say this all the time and people get mad at it, but a lot of people, maybe not everybody, but everyone, people are going to watch, man. We're going to keep watching. We're going to be like, it's just like everything else. We'll get mad for a little while, and then we're going to sweep it under the rug and be like, all right, so what's Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins doing this week? And
There'll be another episode of The Edge next week. Yes, you're absolutely right. I'm not going to stop watching. Yeah.
So, I mean, that's just that's why I feel like as much as Vince pisses us off, and Crown Jewel is the epitome of Vince trolling and angering everyone. It's like the highest point of Vince pissing people off. He knows damn good and well that what are we gonna do? Go watch Ring of Honor's pay-per-view this weekend? Like, that ain't gonna happen. You know
by
what I
the
mean?
way, guys listening, if you didn't know, Ring of Honor has pay-per-view tomorrow.
Don't worry, y'all. I'll give them the smoke later.
Yeah. You know, it's very easy to sit on your own high horse and say that we would do things differently in the situation that Vince is in. And I think a very fair amount of us would. I do. But man, money talks, bullshit walks. And that bottom line is a hell of a motivator when you are at that level. All three of us sitting here right now have jobs. The reason Carl can't be on the show is because he works 6 days a week and goes to school trying to provide for his family. And I respect the shit out of that. right? Kyle doesn't have any kids. He's not married, but Kyle's paying off tens of thousands of dollars in student loans for all of his 17 degrees. You know what I mean? I have two daughters.
You got so greedy with degrees, you took my degree.
No, man, I've only got 3 degrees.
So far.
So, oh no. This will be my last one. I ain't going back to school again.
But the point I'm
Yeah,
trying to
you
make
are on Monday.
Yeah. Good job. The point I'm trying to make is that all of us make huge sacrifices in our life and do things that none of us necessarily would do in any other situation because we know we have to provide. So we're barely making it. You know what I'm saying? We need that next check to come, right? When you're in charge of thousands of other people's money, like Vince is, you make decisions like this that piss other people off, but you realize, all right, well, let me look at the bottom line. So I'm not
Yeah,
sticking
that's a
up for
bottom
Vince.
line decision.
I'm not sticking up for Vince at all. No way. I think bringing Hogan back is egregious. I completely do. But I can't sit here and say that he's a terrible human being for doing it when ultimately business is what runs the world. I can hate it, and I do. If you don't believe me, at It's Ray Cash, oh, I let him have it. But I think it's
Solid
important.
tweet, by the way.
Yeah, that was excellent.
Might be your best tweet on Twitter ever.
Out of all 7 of them,
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Hey, one of them has to be the best.
but I wanted to put that out there because we're not gonna give it to you just one way. We're not gonna give it to you from a biased standpoint. We're gonna give it to you honestly, and our biased and honest opinion is Hulk Hogan can suck a bag of dicks.
You know what else sucked a bag of dicks? Crown Jewel.
Oh, look at the journalism. Oh, maybe
Ugh.
journalism isn't something we should say in this show, considering the situation, huh?
I mean, no, we can say it because like I'd be killed for all sorts of reasons if I ever went to Saudi Arabia. So like
oh wait,
journalism.
so hold on, perfect segue. Daniel Bryan, you can get this work right now. May I if you don't mind?
Oh sure. I mean, you can give Daniel the work because I'm not gonna.
That's fine. I respect
No,
that.
no. I mean, like I don't worship Daniel Bryan the way that all these other motherfuckers do. Like D-Bry is solid, but like
I need to hear this because I haven't decided how I'm going to respond yet. So let's hear it. Give him the work.
Okay.
I'm all about giving Daniel Bryan the work, by the way, but I just want to hear it first. Let's see.
And Cena's next, so don't think that this is just a Bryan thing.
No, yeah, I know.
I'll hit Cena. You hit
I've
Bryan.
seen the bullet points for this show. Go ahead.
Okay.
I'm still included on the even though I haven't been around, I'm still included on the creative meetings. So go ahead.
Okay, fair enough. There was a moment in time where even on this show, I lauded Daniel Bryan. Bryan Danielson as a human being. Because I thought the fact that he had the gumption to say what happened over there is egregious, is disgusting, and is unforgivable, and I cannot support that. I'm willing to forego my championship shot. I'm willing to forego my spot on the card. I'm willing to forego the work, the relationship I have with the owner of this company that I've worked 7, 8+ years to get because I don't want to support that company. Daniel Bryan, Bryan Danielson, I salute you. I shake your hand. Nope, that ain't what happened. Daniel Bryan don't care what happened to that poor man. Daniel Bryan doesn't want to go because the last time he went to Saudi Arabia, he didn't know about Saudi Arabia and how they are, so he didn't like how they treat homosexuals and how they treated Sami Zayn, who's Syrian, who wasn't allowed to go to the show because Syria and Saudi Arabia got beef like Peter Griffin and the Big Chicken. Okay, cool. First and foremost, you're supposed to be the intellectual of the group. You didn't know about Saudi Arabia? You decided to go to a country that's never had a wrestling show and you didn't know why? Oh, okay, cool. Then you get there and you find out all these egregious things and you said nothing? Okay. Then you decide to have the gumption to say, I don't want to go. And if the reports are true, because these are all reports, that he said this before all this stuff started, which I don't believe, then why did you allow yourself to let them make you win the match in Australia? You don't have that much stroke to say, no, I can't win this match? Well, you know I'm not going to go, Vince. I told you 3 months ago I wasn't going to go. So Miz needs to win? No. You won that match happily. You sold that match happily. You went to every show afterwards and continue to sell that match happily. No, Brian, you are a hypocrite. You're a hypocrite because you don't care what happened to the poor man who is the most egregious thing in the situation. The way they treat homosexuals is disgusting. One of my best friends is gay. He's sitting on this podcast with me right now, and I would kill for that dude. So how they treat people of that demographic is disgusting. But they've done that for thousands of years. You just not got a problem with it. You know what I'm
Well,
saying? So
it's
it's the selective outrage that bothers me. All of a sudden, now you want to have a problem with it when you could have had a problem with it before. You could have educated yourself before. But now you just want to sit here and don't have any problem with the thing of the day. You don't have a problem with something that's been going on forever when you could have educated yourself to know that. Like it's just it reeks of laziness to me. It reeks of selective outrage to me, and it reeks of hypocrisy to me.
so we're gonna talk about selective outrage later because I have a different standpoint on selective outrage. However, in this situation, you bring up a good point because the thing is, with Daniel Bryan especially here, and listen, we're all living off reports. I don't know what is and isn't.
Yes, these
But
are all reports for the record. So
if the
if
reports
the
are
reports are
to
wrong,
be
then I take back everything I said and I apologize.
if the reports are to be believed, and he was aware of what happened, let's say we give him a pass for what happened the first time they went to Saudi Arabia, right? We'll just do that. Fine. We'll just say he's ignorant. I'll do that. I'll give because listen, a lot of people are ignorant about what's going on in the world. This
We've all
isn't
been
like
ignorant at one point or another.
yeah. So, but here's the problem. If the reports are to be believed that he knew that he was going to be booked in this fashion to go to Saudi Arabia, have a match with AJ Styles, but he goes to Saudi Arabia for Greatest Royal Rumble. He finds out all this stuff, gets learned on all this stuff. Then what Rance says is absolutely right. From that point, once you learn, I'll give you the pass for going to Greatest Royal Rumble, right? But past that, you don't. If the plan is to be believed that okay, in the next couple of months they're going back,
You signed a
and
4 year,
Daniel,
you signed a 10-year deal.
right,
Yes,
and
you're
we're going
back.
back. So, and you're going to be in these plans in a major match. If you're Daniel Bryan, like if your principles are really as strong as you say they are, then from the beginning you should just be ready to just say, listen, I'm not doing this. Like you said, Rance, let Miz get the victory. Miz doesn't have to win the title. It's not like that matters, you know. Like obviously
Joe
they're
sure didn't.
right. I mean
Miz does need to win the title, sir.
he does. Listen,
need
that's
to
a
win the
whole other
title.
story. Listen, and we're going to talk about Crown Jewel booking anyway. That's a whole different story.
Well,
but,
no, I'm doubly mad at Daniel Bryan in this instance because not only did he beat Miz, but like that match was like a fucking small package roll up joke match.
Right. Well, they have right now WWE's on a kick where we like to just fucking bury the superstars. But anyways, listen, fuck all that for a second. The point is, Daniel Bryan, Rance is absolutely right. Like, and I have a different opinion on selective outrage, but in this case, because if Daniel Bryan got himself learned, why would you go along with all this? Like, I mean, you could very easily be like, I mean, I don't know. The other thing is, I don't know how WWE hands out punishments for real. Like, is Daniel Bryan about to be shipped to the bottom of the card for his choice not to go to Saudi Arabia? I don't know.
No.
Like, I don't know
I doubt
if
they punish anybody.
They probably won't. I would hope not. But I mean, there's a lot of factors here. But if you want to go straight off reports, which I'm not usually the kind of person who does that very much, but in this case, I'm not going to say I believe them. But like Rance, said, if they are to be believed, then yeah, I agree. He's a hypocrite. I mean, you can't say, oh, I went to Saudi Arabia, I figured all this out, I'm angry, but don't worry, I'm going to let myself get all the way to this title match and then back out.
Make them change plans that they've advertised the match and make them change the advertised match to happen the week before and have an injury angle so I can get out of a match that I've known about for 2 months.
Basically, Daniel Bryan is Dave Meltzer. Plans changed. Okay? And it was his fault. But I'm with you on that one. Daniel Bryan, I'm with you. So far.
Speaking of people who didn't go to the show, but it's because they're full of shit, not because they're altruistic.
Get him.
Let's talk about this motherfucker John Cena, because
Jonathan Felix Anthony Cena.
So John Cena decided he didn't want to go to Crown Jewel because he didn't want to be a part of this show in Saudi Arabia all of a sudden based on the events of what happened. Some people seem to think that that was John Cena taking some kind of moral stance, and to those people I say, what the fuck are you smoking? Because damn, that must be some good shit. John Cena ain't go to this show, y'all, because John Cena's a fucking Hollywood actor, and he's trying to look out for his celebrity. Because if John Cena really gave a flying fuck about human rights, do you think his ass would be filming a show in China?
Not just filming a show in China, living there for 5 months.
This dude is living in fucking China.
Oh, wait. Can I go further real quick? I'm backing you up. John Cena's he's learning Mandarin because he knew that WWE needed to go to China because that's the untapped market. So you clearly don't care about human rights violations.
So let me ask you a question before we go further on shitting on John Cena. Hold on. Did John come out and say that the reason he didn't go to Saudi Arabia was because of human rights, or is this what all of his fans came out?
He hasn't said anything publicly.
Okay, so should we be shitting on John? Should we be shitting on John, or should we be shitting on the people who are defending his honor like he's some big human rights activist?
We should be shitting on John.
Yes.
We should be sitting on John.
Indeed.
But why? He never came out and said, I'm not going to Saudi Arabia.
Brian never came out and said it either.
Well, I thought you were just talking about how Brian learned all this stuff, and so that's why he was pulling out.
John allowed himself to be put in the thing.
Into the World Cup.
He was the first person announced.
That's right. Yeah. See, I forgot about the World Cup. All this shit's so bad. The Crown Jewel thing is so bad. And of course I don't watch. So everything is so bad that I've forgotten about all this. So fair enough. Let's shit on John. I'm down. Fuck John Cena.
Continue, please.
Well, no, so if y'all want to know, though, just how China gets down, y'all remember Tiananmen Square? They straight up rolled over a motherfucker with a tank in front of cameras. They give zero fucks in China.
Oh, talk to them about the baby rule.
The one-child policy? You mean the one that says that you legally can only have one child? They've relaxed it a little bit in recent years, but the societal issues that has created and the orphanages full of baby girls, because Chinese society is very paternalistic and you want desperately to have a boy that will carry on your family name. So families that would get pregnant and have a daughter first, they would just give little homegirl up for adoption because they didn't want to have that be their one child. And so now they've got all of these babies that had been adopted out, and they've got too many men and not enough women in the society to perpetuate population growth, because all of these people that had daughters got rid of their daughters through nefarious means. China fucked up, y'all.
Listen, it's not just that. I have a brother-in-law right now in China. I'm not going to say his name. He is teaching English in China. Okay. And listen, however you feel about religion is how you feel about religion. But he's Christian. Okay. You ain't allowed to be Christian over there. They find that shit out, you're in trouble.
You're not allowed to be anything over there.
Exactly.
In China is a very communist society. It's run by the Communist Party, and atheism is a key tenet to communism because it brings about a conflict of loyalty between you and the state. They don't want to be loyal to anything more than...
That's another thing. If you are a religious person over there, bad news.
Well, China is king of non-freedom of speech. They don't have open internet access. They have their own versions of Twitter and Facebook and shit, so that they don't have to worry about information spreading that they don't want to spread.
But here's the thing: the reason why nobody gives a shit about that is because China imports all their shit to the United States. Yeah. We make tons of money off of China, and we give China tons of money. And that's just the bottom line. That's why nobody cares and nobody thinks about it.
We do.
China as a nation is creating fake islands in the South China Sea so that they can try to claim that they own that shit.
And one thing I want to say real quick too, If you don't believe what Kyle's saying about the paternalistic society, watch Mulan.
You're asking our listeners to watch Mulan.
I'm just
Yo,
saying.
dude, don't ever act like being asked to watch Mulan is a bad thing.
Hey,
Come on.
that's my favorite Disney like
Yes,
princessy movie is Mulan. It's a fucking fantastic. I was just talking
fantastic.
about that's funny because I was just talking about this earlier with my wife. Like literally like 2 hours ago we were talking about Mulan. But yes,
But
you're
but
right.
the
I mean
the
it's
very point about, and mind you, that was in like the early days of China. But the very point behind it is Mulan, her dad had to go back. Her dad, who was old and sick, had to go back in the army because they were at war with the Mongols, and Mulan had to lie and pretend she was a man because women were just, hey, go cook, go clean, stay out the way. Ain't much changed.
I agree.
So you know what else we can jump on while we sitting there giving people this work? Let's do what we do best and let's shit on the fans, shall we?
But Rance, how can you shit on me? What did I do this week?
Well, young fan person boy, there was a show in Saudi Arabia that you seem to be very upset about and wanted to boycott. Are you familiar with this show?
Well, Rance, everybody knows that Saudi Arabia is a terrible country.
Well, Daniel Bryan didn't know, so technically everybody doesn't know. So what's your next excuse?
But Rance, didn't you see what they did to that journalist?
I surely did, and that is egregious. But let me ask you a question. Did you see what they did to those 9 people in AME Church in whatever city that was in South Carolina?
Charleston.
Charleston? Did you see that,
But
young man?
but Rance, what's that got to do with Saudi Arabia?
Well, I'm glad you asked. So there's a thing called selective outrage. And what that means is I am upset about the things that I want to be upset about, even though there are a bunch of things that I could be upset about, but I'm choosing not to be upset about them. Saudi Arabia has massive human rights violations. This is something we are aware of, we know, we accept, and it is the truth. And whether they really are trying to move out of the dark ages or not, that's their business. If they are, I salute them because it's never too late to change. However, if you are talking about human rights violations, I, as a black man, this is voting season. Karl has been bitching at me to vote for the past three weeks.
You
There
ain't
was
going
a,
on.
no, I'm not. If I was 50 years old,
God
if I
damn
was
it,
50
Rance,
years
fucking
old,
vote.
if I was 50 years old, I would remember a time I couldn't vote. So you talk about human rights violations. The whole country was supposed to be built on for the republic by the republic, right? But so this country has this is one of the newest countries in the world, and we have more human rights violations than damn near any country out here. We set a war with an entire country over weapons of mass destruction we never found, and the people who did the egregious act that caused us to go to war weren't even from that country.
Yeah, we just
So
had a show in the country they were from.
yes, exactly. Well, there you go. Yes. So I am all for calling a spade a spade. Saudi Arabia deserved all of the outrage, the negativity, the disgust that they've received after callously and egregiously, I'm using egregious a lot tonight, murdered that poor journalist who just happened to say something negative about one of the Saudi princes. However, if we are going to boycott WWE at every bad thing they do or at every show they do in a country that has human rights violations, ladies and gentlemen, listeners of the Outsider's Edge, there will never be another WWE show
Ever, anywhere.
ever,
Like
anywhere.
they just did that show in Australia. Y'all ask an Aboriginal person how they feel about Australia.
One of my good friends is Aboriginal. I can call him and tell you. So
So,
there's not one place, unless they decide to build an island somewhere and just have Jurassic Park WWE style. It ain't happening. So you're gonna be mad at a lot of stuff, but you choose not to because it's not the moment of the day, the moment of the day, or the issue of the moment. And as my good brother Karl just said at the beginning of this show, you say you're gonna boycott, but we really know you like You know what's funny to me? All these people who said they weren't going to watch Crown Jewel, and not just say they weren't going to watch, because it's one thing if you said you didn't want to watch because you weren't interested in the show. Neither of you two were interested in the show. You didn't watch. I respect that. It's saying I'm not going to watch because I'm boycotting it, making a stand. Okay, how do you know what happened on the show?
Yeah, they were interested in the results, of course. I want to jump in because I don't know how Kyle. I mean, I'm assume we all kind of feel the same way. I've gotten to this is selective outrage is such an interesting topic to me because not even just from a wrestling standpoint, just from an in general standpoint. Because here we are, three guys, okay, and we've been talking a lot about human rights and things of this nature, a little bit more serious conversations tonight, you know, and it all delves back into the political spectrum a little bit. And without getting political, you know, I have to touch on it a little bit because it does matter because you just talk about voting and things like that. So, outrage. We're all pretty liberal, the three of us, for the most part. Pretty liberal-minded guys. I'm probably a little bit more moderate in the middle than you guys are, but for the most part, we're all pretty in agreement, right? Here's the thing. The same thing we're saying right now about selective outrage is the same thing the other side says all the time. That we're mad about this, but when this happens, we don't say a word. And I think we have to be careful because Rance, you watch the show, and I have a lot of respect for you because you hate what Hogan did, said, blah 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 blah, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that personally upsets you, you know.
Offends me personally, absolutely, yes.
However, you didn't say, "Well, I'm not watching Crown Jewel because of it, and I'm not boycotting WWE because of this one decision."
No.
And I can appreciate that, right? But the thing is, and I think we have to be careful, is here's the deal. All of us have our own things that we can be personally upset about. For you, Rance, it might be Hogan, right? Maybe Hogan upsets you more than them going to Saudi Arabia. I don't know. I'm not trying to put words in your mouth. I'm just saying, like, theoretically, okay? Maybe for Kyle, Saudi Arabia upsets him more than Hogan. Or maybe for me, Saudi Arabia upsets me more than Hogan, right?
Honestly, nothing upsets me more right now than the fake outrage about the immigrant caravan.
Okay, well then that's fair. So, but like what I'm getting at here is like, like there's a lot of things that upset me right now. Okay, I can't like stop my life, the real life that I have in my own world, to like be angry about everything. You know what I mean? Like I can be upset in my mind. There's things I can say. There's things I can do. Small things I can say and do. But I can't get mad about everything. Like, okay, this is a very small example, okay? And I just want to use it because it's very small. But you know how there was like this outrage over straws forever, right? Like in California,
Starbucks,
right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, single-use straws are terrible for the environment.
They are. And here's the thing. I don't usually drink out of a straw that much anyway. And there's a whole other backstory to why I don't do that. But I don't do that very much anyway. But like, if I saw someone drinking with a straw, I'm not going to pull it out of their cup and like throw it across the room and be like, this is for my ocean life homies. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to do that.
You should do that. That would be hilarious.
Right. I know, but I'm not going to do that because while I understand the issue, like, it's just so out there to do that. You know what I mean? People are going to do what they're going to do, and it's okay to be upset about things. The way that I've always kind of seen is you want to get out there. If you want to if you want changes, you got to go out there and do what you can to try and make them, right? So with WWE, like, I feel like I understand where people are coming from with the whole, like, I don't want to watch this show because of what happened in Saudi Arabia and all that stuff. I get it. Like, and I really do. And I don't want to come down too hard on those people. Like, this is the one area of all of this where I'm not going to come down too hard because I get it. Like, you can be like, there are things that are going to anger you. Like, you can be angry about the things that you love and you still love them. You know what I mean? I mean, people make me angry every day that I care about. At the end of the day, I'm like, ugh, today I hate you. Tomorrow I love you. And
I'm one
So-
of those people, by the way. To you listening, I'm one of those people.
I mean, you and me get
Well-
into it a lot. Like we'll have our days where like I'm mad about this that we've been talking about, and the next day it's cool. And so I think that while we can shit on them for this, and I've shit on the fans with you guys many times, this is the one thing that I'm willing to let slide a little bit because, man, it's just you just really can't expect it. I mean, you can be mad at it's one of those relationships. You're mad at them, and the next day you're like, all right, okay,
I think, but here's the reason why I'm willing to give the fans this work right now is
That's fine.
because the boycott isn't really a boycott. It's just they didn't watch this show. Unless you
Right.
actually canceled the fucking network, that's not a boycott.
Right.
You are still gonna give them your $9.99 every month, and you're gonna watch all the other shit that you like on the network.
Right.
You're just not watching this one fucking show.
Right.
That's not a boycott.
But I would agree
That's
with you on
not
that.
taking a stand.
Right.
That's not getting on a moral high. That's not doing any of that. That's just not watching this one show.
And I would agree with that. I just think that, like, I don't want to come down crazy on them. Like, the idea of, like, boycotting is such a thing. Like, okay, Kyle, you and I don't know about Texas, but I'm pretty sure South Carolina's got them. Has anybody here ever heard of Chick-fil-A?
Yo, man, we got one every, 2 miles.
Okay, Chick-fil-A.
Oh my God, yes.
Chick-fil-A is the shit. Okay, their food is. I love Chick-fil-A. Okay,
I
don't
have a
like-
love-hate relationship with Chick-fil-A.
I'm sure.
Right.
you
I
do.
love to eat their food. I hate to think about where my money's going after
Right.
I buy it.
Exactly. You guys have seen by now. Y'all have probably all seen the little video of Russell Westbrook, like on the bench, and he like looking around, and then he sneaks a piece of food. That's like all of us at Chick-fil-A. It's
Yeah.
like I know how Chick-fil-A is, but man, this chicken's so good, and we just move to the side and eat it. Like that's kind of how I feel about the Saudi Arabia situation a little bit. Like we're still giving them our money. We don't like what they do and what they stand for on this, but we're still gonna have that Chick-fil-A sandwich today. You know what I mean?
Can I
And
give
so
you
I'm
an
not
example?
willing to like come down on them because I get it because I'm that way. You know what I
Give you an
mean?
example?
Yes.
Okay. The number one hip hop station in Houston is 97.9 The Box.
Okay.
And the morning show here has been going on for 15 plus years, a long time. Kids have grown up and are grown and been listening to the Mad Hatter for
Right.
forever.
Okay.
He's a radio legend, legitimately. Just this past week, R. Kelly, apparently, we all know the egregious things R. Kelly has done or been accused of. He done, but
Yeah, we know he did it.
right,
let's
but
be real.
but
You
but
know
to
all
be
that, and every time I Believe I Can Fly comes on, we're still like, I believe.
Sure. But hold on. Let me go in depth. So he has a docudrama coming out about him, 3-part on one of these channels, one of those black channels, TV1 or something, talking about and it's not by him, it's about him, talking about his life and the sex cult and the houses and all the things that he's done.
Right.
They were talking about it, and like everybody on the show was like, no, I can't, can't support him, this, that, and the other. No, I don't like him, this, that, whatever. Talking down on him, as one would expect, this, that, and the other. I don't know if some people still go to his shows. 2 days later, the same channel aired an advertisement for R. Kelly coming to Houston, selling tickets. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Collective outrage means when you can make a difference and you choose not to. You just want to hear your voice heard. Okay? That's the problem I have. All these people say they're going to cancel the network, and even if they did cancel the network, they're going to re-subscribe next month. You're not making a point. You're trying to be heard. You want somebody to listen to you. And you know what? That's fine, but this ain't the time to do it. If you really want to make a point, wrestling is not a necessity in life. You don't have to watch wrestling. You don't have to watch WWE. There's never been a time in human history where wrestling was more accessible than now. There were 4 wrestling shows on television. There's a Fight TV, which is free, where you can watch dozens of shows, right? Online. MLW, if you can't watch it, it's on Facebook on YouTube every week. Lucha Underground. I'm sorry. So 5 on television. Wrestling is available to you. You don't have to watch WWE. So if it upsets you that much, and you feel the need to make your voice be heard, or let your grubby little fingers type some shit negative about it, and it's that bad to where you're going to boycott, then be a man, be a woman, grab your balls, grab your tits, and actually stick up to what you're saying. Don't just say it today, and then Monday talk about how you can't wait till Dean come out to say what he's gonna say to Seth. It don't work
Right.
that way, and that's what the problem I got is.
I think that's the thing, though. I think it's a very fine line because I'm not boycotting the WWE, but I did not like the fact that after all the shit that went down in Saudi Arabia, and I've known about Saudi Arabia, you know, we all knew about it. Most of us have, people that pay attention. But it's just but I'll be the first to admit, I watched the Greatest Royal Rumble. You know, I did. It was terrible. Didn't really care for it, but I watched it. Like, and now at this point, I didn't watch Crown Jewel, partly because the card looks like shit, and secondly because after everything that's gone down, I'm just done with that. You know what I mean? And I understand why Vince would go. Obviously, I'm not an idiot, you know, but I'm not boycotting at the same time either.
But what you did is the way you let your voice be heard. You didn't watch. You don't. Everybody feels that they need to talk. And I realize that is very hypocritical coming from me, who is hosting a podcast right now. I get that. But and all both of you can attest. Anybody who knows me can attest. I very rarely tweet. I very rarely post on Facebook. I can't tell you the last time I put anything on Instagram because I don't feel like my voice matters that much. Because if I really wanted to make a difference, I would do something. I don't need to say it. I have this podcast because I like talking with my friends.
Right.
People just seem to like it, so why not?
Well,
But
we know you don't want to make any changes because you don't want to go vote Tuesday, you fucker.
well,
So, you know, I'm already mad at you
Only
about
assholes don't vote, Rance.
that. Yeah,
whenever
asshole.
whenever I ever said I wasn't an asshole?
We
You got to do better than that.
got to get rid of the. You guys need to be getting rid of the Zodiac killer. We need your votes.
Oh, he was
All
going to win
right.
regardless. He was going to win
Yeah,
regardless.
he is going to win regardless. But that's
Yeah,
not
it
the
doesn't
point.
matter. It doesn't
Y'all
matter.
are about to elect a Zodiac killer?
Ted Cruz. Tell me he doesn't.
Oh,
Yeah.
God. Oh, don't even say that name. He's gross.
We apologize for how political this episode has been.
But it matters.
I
It's
don't-
relevant though.
I don't apologize.
It's
at all.
relevant because we're talking about a country
Sure.
that's been in the news, and we're not talking about just a wrestling show here.
You're right.
Like, I mean, so people may not like it. They might click the X or whatever tonight, but the point is, it ties in. You're talking about Vince McMahon, right? Who's got a wife literally working for the current administration of the United States.
By the way,
Like, these are relevant things.
thank you for bringing that up. While we are on the topic of the fans, and I want to move off real quick, but I want to say this. For those of you who really believe that that either Renee Young was either one, in danger, or two, they were gonna make her wear a hijab, you're idiots.
Yeah, how did that? I haven't watched the show. How did that go, by the way? Was she on the commentary team, or did
She
they
was
have
on
her
the
like in a
commentary
back
team.
room
No, she's on
or
the
something?
commentary team.
Okay, see, I didn't.
Yes.
Yeah, I was curious about that.
She was never gonna be in danger. This is a public event.
No, I didn't think she would be either.
Hosted by the kingdom. If anything happened to her, that's a war crime.
Yeah, I wasn't worried about any of that. I was
That's
just
what
curious
happened to
how they approached it.
American women don't have to wear hijabs in Muslim countries.
No, they don't.
Non-Muslim women don't generally have to wear
Yes.
hijabs in Muslim countries. It's a
again-
faith-based thing.
Yes. So again, knowledge would tell you that. Now, she was respectful to the culture. I'm not saying she had to do this, but to their culture, she had on all black, and she was covered from her neck all the way down. She was good. She had a blast. At least she looked like she had a blast.
I was gonna say she looked like she was having fun because I don't think anybody could be having fun. Because let's move on and talk about this shit-tastic show.
Oh yeah,
that
booking was
was
next. Yes.
Crown Jewel. Karl, you brought up X's earlier. Let's go ahead and start with the WWE Old Folks Home match. Straight out of the retirement community, you had the Brothers of Destruction, Kane and The Undertaker, versus the geriatric G-Generation X, Triple H and Shawn Michaels. Now, for weeks, y'all, I've been here on the edge talking about I didn't want this match to happen because I was worried about the safety of the competitors because this is the AARP match.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
And
AARP on a
sure
pole.
enough, And sure enough, one of the Medicare brigade went and tore a muscle and is now going to be put up on the shelf because they've got to have surgery.
And which one was that?
Triple H tore a pectoral muscle from trying to carry this damn match.
The youngest one and the one in the most shape.
Tore a pec trying to carry the match. Even he crumbled under the pressure of trying to carry this sad-ass match.
Here's the thing. We're going to shit all over this show, and this is not even close to the most egregious thing that happened on this show. Like, this was the Saudi prince who is my age being like, I love the Attitude Era. That's what this was, okay? First of all, let me just dive right in. Shawn Michaels got to go, bro. Like, I don't know what he was thinking. I know what he was thinking.
Moonsaulted Kane's mask off his face.
That's hilarious. And why did Kane cover up like we've never seen his face before? Oh, no.
No, right. I don't think that's what he was covering. I think he was trying to cover up the fact that that's a massive hairpiece in the mask and not his actual hair.
Maybe so.
So, Shawn Michaels, this is going to sound so terrible with all the things that have happened in the last few weeks in terms of our good and great Universal Champion, the real Universal Champion, Roman Reigns. Shawn Michaels looks like a cancer patient out there, bro. Okay? Bald ass head.
No, Shawn Michaels.
Like, he's not bald. No. He bald.
No, right. Y'all. Shawn Michaels looks like what happens when you do opioids for a while.
What I'm getting at here is good for Shawn. I don't know how much they paid him. Good for him. But fuck. Like, this, it looks so awkward. Like, just seeing, like, what I've seen of them after they won. I'm just like, this looks terrible. Like, I can live with the fact that they had the match, but all I can gather from the highlights I've seen is how bad it was. And Triple H, like you said, Kyle, is the only one of those four that we know can go anymore. I honestly thought maybe Kane could still go a little bit because he's always been a pretty good hand.
No.
But apparently he's Kane's washed now too.
Kane's the worst of the four right now.
So what, like, I can't really shit on this. I didn't watch the match. So the booking doesn't matter. The booking of this match does not matter.
The booking of the match never mattered because this match is self-contained. The one thing that Rance has said about it that I will totally admit he's right on is it doesn't have storyline ramifications because the match is self-contained. So the booking itself doesn't matter. My thing was always safety. Because I knew 3 of these 4 motherfuckers are washed as shit. And it's dangerous to have 3 washed people in the match. And sure enough, somebody got hurt. And sure enough, as is honestly fitting, it was the person who's not washed.
And probably, like you mentioned, probably the guy who had to be the ring general for the whole damn thing. Yes. He's the only one who can still go. Unfortunate because we probably... And that carries ramifications, though, because we've been given foreshadowing that we might get Triple H and Batista.
It doesn't mean nothing. We've got foreshadowing a million times.
I know.
Whatever happened to that Triple H Bray Wyatt match?
I know, but the thing about it this way, if that was any kind of foreshadowing, it's out the window now. It's out the window because they had to have this dumbass match that nobody gives a shit about except Tweedledee.
That's where I'll stop. That's where I'll stop you there. I'll stop you there. So I have... Kyle said it best. If nothing else, I've been consistent on this point. We could talk about the reason the show was there and shit on that all we want. We could talk about how bad the booking was of the show, and that's a valid point. We could talk about the old folk getting top booking and being put in precarious situations. That's all valid. But the one thing that I've always stuck by is this and this alone. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia has not had wrestling shows. Have not been able to have these. Right? So the things that happened at this show, much like the show in Australia, much like the Greatest Royal Rumble in April, are while it's televised because it's such an extravagant show, is not for us. It is for the people in Saudi Arabia. And if you watch the show like I did, the crowd were losing their mind at every single moment of the show.
Well, good for them, because they don't care about humans. So that's why they let us have this match.
That's fair. But you can also, but everybody in that country isn't a terrible person.
Right. No, I agree with that.
Like everybody here isn't a terrible person. You know, just because a lot of our
Yeah.
ancestors were and a lot of people still are now, everybody isn't. So I can't hate everybody in that country. I can hate the country in general, but everybody in that country for the egregious things that their leaders have done.
Right.
However, the point I'm trying to make is that Sean, Hunter, Taker, and Kane had no reason having a match, but they had a match that was self-contained, didn't affect the rest of the story, and was strictly and specifically for the fans.
That's why this to me isn't as egregious as the rest of the show.
Yes.
And I will say this: I got no beef with Sean and all them. Like that. Listen, they're human beings. Do whichever you want.
I don't like that Sean chose this match to come back for. That's the problem I got.
That's fair, but I mean that's just more of a legacy thing than anything else.
No, that's more of a getting paid thing.
Well, you know what I mean. Like for
Kyle
you though,
pointed
like
out
the
to me.
reason why you're probably upset is because Sean's first match, it makes him look like a douche, kind of. You know, my deal with the biggest person to blame, it's Vince McMahon. Like let's just be honest. Like we love Vince, he's a genius. That doesn't mean the genius doesn't do dumb shit.
Paul. Nah, man, this is on Paul. This ain't on Vince. All this shit's on Paul.
On Triple H?
He brokered the deal.
He created the deal. He's head of talent relations. He's head of live events.
Yeah, but I mean that's
events.
fair. But end of the day, we know who pulling the strings.
No,
I mean,
Vince is giving the okay.
Yes, that doesn't mean
Vince is giving the okay.
Yes.
Hunter is out there making the deals, arranging
Right.
the shows.
And
I get
doing
that.
all that. Vince is just giving the cosign, like, yeah, all right, we can do that.
Right, but for a guy like Vince McMahon who lives and breathes, and as we know, like doesn't even his favorite football player is like some Redskins guy from the 30s.
Had to do Redskins, huh?
Like well,
I like that.
you know, it's Vince. Like here's the deal. For a guy that supposedly like is like 24/7 wrestling, WWE all the time, I'm not going to let him slide because Triple H brokered a deal.
Oh, I'm not going to let Vince slide. I'm going to shit on Vince a lot tonight. But
end of the day, we're going to the top. Just like right now in politics, we go to the top when we're mad about shit. That's who we yell at first. We're going to do the same thing with Vince McMahon. That's what I'm going to do tonight. I'm not saying Triple H is absolved, but at the end of the day, Vince McMahon writes his name in cursive on anything that goes through with that company. It makes up outside of NXT apparently, but he can easily say yes or no because at the end of the day, Triple H can broker a deal to come wrestle at my house tomorrow. And if Vince McMahon's like, nope, ain't nobody wrestling at my house.
Are you gonna say no to a deal that acquires you $450 million over 10 years?
Am I going to?
Yeah.
No, but I also make like $13 an hour, if that. Vince McMahon has just signed a $5 billion deal with Fox.
So
he doesn't need the money.
It's not $5
like
billion,
he could.
by the way.
I know, but what I'm saying is he could easily 500 million or whatever it was. He could easily be like, no.
5 years.
He could be like, no.
Why?
Like I don't need this.
That's a stupid business decision.
Maybe, but sometimes, like we just talked about before, listen, and I'm the business guy, and I agree that would be dumb, but he's not hurting. And at the end of the day, you can easily say no to something. So whether it's a good or bad business decision, to me is irrelevant to the point of Vince is the bottom line guy. If he says yes, it falls on him. Like that is like we do it to every other business person ever. Who got shit on with all the stuff that happened with Tesla? Elon Musk, right? Who gets shit on for every other company and all the things they do? The guy at the top. Triple H is a moderator, right? And he makes things happen. But Vince signs the dotted lines at the end of the day. It falls on him. That's just my opinion. I mean, I get where you're coming from. I'm not saying that Triple H is absolved, but Vince makes the deal.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just confused what we're shitting on right now.
Yeah, I am too. Because
we've been shitting on a lot.
I was talking about Triple H. Like that match is all on Hunter. Like that whole thing's on Hunter.
I feel like this was 3 months in the making. He just had to get it off his chest, and this is just where it came out. Because I don't know what we're mad at right now.
I'm not mad at anybody. I'm not mad at anybody. What I'm saying is like this whole show and the way it was booked feels like Vince McMahon sat in a room and took a shit on a piece of paper.
Okay, maybe so.
If you want my honest opinion, you know what I mean?
And it's right. Now, I'm going to shit on everything that happens on this show. I want to preface this by saying that. But I can actually see with my eyes a real reason why he did everything he did. There's a legitimate reason.
Sure.
Yes,
You
genuinely.
could do that with anything, really. Like why people do what they do.
But it's not just a genuine, but a logical reason why he did everything he did. Let me explain why. Let's move on.
Oh God.
The beginning of the card, and from a guy who watched the show, everything that happened in the show until AJ brought his shovel out was great.
Oh, so you mean this was a WrestleMania style show where the first hour and a half is like fire and then it just hits a wall that it never recovers from?
Well, let's slow down on the fire because it wasn't fire. So let me tell you what was good about it. Okay, the initial first round matches were essentially Raw and SmackDown matches. They weren't bar burners. Like it's a tournament. It's a one-night tournament, so very clearly you're not going to kill yourself in the beginning of the match. Right? One night, 8-man tournament. You're gonna slowly into it. The semifinal matches were great. They were really good. But what I enjoyed about it was, shout out to Greg Hamilton, and if it was Paul or it was Vince, whoever's idea it was, when they announced the competitors coming out who were in the World Cup tournament, before they came out, they announced all their accolades at what they've done, going like in real life and in kayfabe.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
then
that's
they
cool.
brought them out. And when they came out, the entrances were extra bigger. Everybody except for Dolph had fireworks, extra, not just the fireworks on the stage, but the fireworks in the air. It felt really big.
It's a good touch.
When you consider the resumes of the 8 people in that tournament, like other than Lashley, realistically, but I mean Lashley's a legitimate MMA fighter, so like,
and Lashley's a world champion in other companies too.
In other companies, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. But they did say ECW champion, and I was like, ugh.
But just within WWE's kayfabe, the accolades of like all of those people,
Kurt
the
and
number
Ray
of world
and Orton, and yeah,
even Miz, like people laugh and people stunt, but Miz is an 8-time Intercontinental Champion. He's a former WWE champion. He's like a 5-time US champion. He's like a 6-time tag team champion. Like the Miz is a Hall of Famer, y'all.
Yeah.
You might not want to admit that to yourselves, but the Miz is a Hall of Fame.
And he should have won the cup, by the way, but we'll
Not
fuck
just
all that. I'm not getting into that.
We're going to get there. Not just Hall of Famer, but he might be a a headliner.
Yeah.
He might headline a class.
Yeah.
But yes, so I thought that was really cool. I enjoyed that exponentially. So it was the first 4 matches. Then they had New Day, and New Day came out on a magic carpet.
I did see a little snippet of that, by the way. You can't miss everything on Twitter. You know, you're gonna see a few things.
And then they had the 2.
Here, New Day.
Then they had the 2 semifinal matches, and the stories had little story in them. Ray rolled up Orton and beat him, and Orton attacked him after the match.
By the way, real quick, did you guys see that they photoshopped Rey Mysterio's mask? Apparently, like there was something I saw that like he normally has a cross on his mask or something, and like they photoshopped it out or something. I saw something about it on. I don't know if it's true or not. But
I didn't pay attention to that, but if I know Ray might have put it on there because Ray always is specific to what he does. Like in the Greatest Royal Rumble when he was in that, he had on a all green with the Saudi Arabia flag on his chest.
Right.
So he's always...
Yeah, when he went to New Japan, he did a mask that was like half the New Japan lion.
Yeah.
Okay. I was just curious. I saw something minor about that, and I was just curious about it. I don't know.
He might not have had the cross.
Right. Because of where they were, you know.
He's very respectful of where he goes, and I give him that. Always do. But yeah, so the matches were cool, this, that, and the other. And then New Day versus The Bar was a fun match, but again, SmackDown match. It was a glorified house show as it is. The semifinals were really good. I was shocked that we got Miz and Ziggler. That was shocking. I was positive we were gonna get Rollins and Miz, and then Ambrose was gonna come out and screw Rollins out of it.
Honestly, you want my honest opinion? I thought Randy Orton was gonna win the whole thing.
I knew
Randy Orton.
I knew Randy was gonna be out the first round.
But you know why I thought that, right? Look at the rest of the results of this show. It's the MAGA crew, brother. I was pretty sure that
Oh.
Randy Orton was going to be the best in the world.
Fair
But go ahead.
And then AJ brought a shovel out. So let's shit on AJ for a second while we're here.
I'm down.
AJ is a great wrestler. AJ is deserving of all the accolades he's gotten, and he's deserving of a reign at this level based on what he's done in his career and what he's done in WWE. He's a tremendous guy. He's a Hall of Famer. He's a headliner.
But that motherfucker needs to drop that fucking title and drop down the card because he is cancer to the main event of SmackDown.
This reign has been one of the most boring title reigns I've ever seen, and he has ruined 3 main event stars.
He's a momentum killer. He is a momentum killer.
And it's not necessarily his fault.
It's not his fault.
But we'll never look at Samoa Joe or Shinsuke Nakamura the same.
It's not his fault because AJ can put on great matches with all those guys.
He's not putting on great matches though.
Well, no, but what I'm saying is he's it's not his fault because he's booked to win these matches. End of the day,
right? But the one thing he can control is what happens in between those 4 ropes, and he's not even giving great matches.
The whole reign has been bad. And remember, I want to talk about this because we still got to talk about Brock too. But like, the next pay-per-view is Survivor Series, and what match are we getting?
Oh, God,
Brock and AJ.
So,
now, didn't we have that last year, right?
We did, and I didn't really care for it that much. So
here's the thing, though. Everyone was so ready to get rid of Jinder Mahal as champion.
Well, wait.
And we are right back where we fucking started.
Wait, I'm glad you said that. Carl and I were right. We should have got Jinder versus Brock then. So at least now it'd be new. We should have gone on and got Jinder versus Brock, let Brock destroy him in 3 minutes and be done, and then he dropped the title to AJ like he should have, move on with that, and now we'd have something new. But instead, we have the same main event for both.
Here's why I want. Go ahead, Kyle. You haven't said much.
Well, I was going to say, the thing is, AJ has reached a point where there have been so many moments where AJ should have dropped the title and it would have been okay. Even like if they wanted to do another experimental thing, you want to talk about striking while someone was hot, they could have put the fucking belt on Rusev for a month. He was ready. It didn't even have. No, but I'm saying it doesn't. He didn't have to be champ forever. You could have put the belt on him for a month as like a transitional thing. Even if AJ won it right back, that's still like
Tozawa the title. Yeah, like Tozawa got. He win one week and lose in the next. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, like
here's the thing though about AJ. AJ is in a weird predicament. Like, first of all, I have been bored with his title reign for goddamn ever. I would have been happy if Samoa Joe had taken it off of him at Crown Jewel. I knew he wasn't going to. In no way did I ever think Joe was winning. I didn't think Daniel Bryan was winning the title either. I knew AJ was walking out champ. However, the thing about AJ is he's one of those guys. If AJ doesn't have a belt, if AJ isn't champion, I don't know how much anybody gives a shit about AJ.
That's not fair.
Like, because to me, he's not John Cena, right? Like, John Cena's at a point in his career, he doesn't need a title. When John comes back, we're like, oh, cool, John's back. And John's going to feud with this guy, and he's going to do this thing. If we're like, tomorrow we're like, all right, AJ's dropping the title, and now he's going to enter a feud with Cesaro. Like, okay.
But you realize that you're saying he's not John Cena. There's nobody on the roster that's John Cena.
No, yes, I do, but that's the problem with AJ, though. Like, if he doesn't have a belt, if he's not at the top, I don't know that I care about him that much. I don't care about him right now. That's the problem.
How can we know? We've never seen AJ in WWE not on top.
Well, except for his first 2 months when he against Jericho.
But then it was fresh.
Right after Jericho. Right after the Jericho feud, what did he do? He fought Roman for the title. After Roman, he fought Cena, and he's been on top ever since.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Vince loves AJ. And that's great and great for AJ because, I mean, he deserves, like you said, at the top. He deserves everything he's gotten. But at this point, and actually it's worse on Raw because on SmackDown, at least they have credible guys that you could see dethroning AJ for the championship. The problem is he's beaten them all already at this point, outside of a handful of people. You know, the only guy left that he hasn't beaten for that title in a title match for that title.
Don't say it because they'll do it. Don't say it.
Randy Orton? No.
I don't know who you're gonna say, but whoever you say, they will do it because.
Okay. Jeff Hardy.
Well, Jeff Hardy's gonna get buried.
Good. That's okay. I'm okay. That's why I said
That's fine. I love Jeff, but it's time for him to get buried.
So yeah, the AJ thing, like, and I'm so like when they said Samoa Joe, I was like, come on, anybody else, right? Because Samoa Joe and him and one other guy on this roster, and we'll talk about him here in a minute, look like the biggest fucking geeks on the planet. We have not used that word the whole show yet, and I'm gonna use it. Geek. Samoa Joe is officially a fucking geek. Everything he does, forget about it.
Speaking of that, you know who was on the pre-show for the show? Shinsuke Nakamura and Rusev. Who were the last feuds they had before?
Geeks.
Who were their last major feuds?
They were victims of AJ.
Geeks. At least Shinsuke has a title.
No. That's a terrible thing to say. At least he has a title. We forgot.
Fuck that. I would rather be Rusev than Shinsuke right now any day. At least the crowd's chanting for Rusev.
At least they remember you're on the card.
Shoot. I'd rather be Aiden English than Shinsuke right now. And Aiden just got job squatted.
Oh, yeah. Rusev beat him in like 2 minutes, yeah.
I told you that was going to happen.
Sure, I never said it wasn't. I just think that Aiden can be a really nice mid-card guy. But we have to move on to this next piece of bullshit.
Wait,
that
is it Brock or Shane?
It's Brock.
Fuck Brock Lesnar. Fuck Brock Lesnar.
Can I please? Can I go first?
Brock Lesnar.
Please.
Yes,
this is my return. Let me go first on Brock.
Karl, go first.
Okay.
Oh, real quick, yeah. And I want everybody to know Ricky told us to say fuck Brock or fuck Brock.
He don't have to say it because I'm about to say it. Kyle just said it. Fuck Brock Lesnar. All right. First of all, if you are a Roman Reigns fan right now, you should be fucking furious. Okay? You should be. Even if you're not, what is wrong with you? Like all this shit that Roman went through, and they still didn't put the belt on him at WrestleMania. They made you wait to SummerSlam to put that belt on Roman. Roman gets sick. He's got to go. We understand that. The most logical option was to have just those two have the match. I'm fine with that. Not pulling the trigger on Braun here when he's still like this whole time, even after Roman won the title, Braun has still been in the mix at the top of the card. Brock hasn't really been around. What the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck? Brock Lesnar is not going to show up. Braun Strowman, like after everything we saw, right? When Roman came back in the locker room, Braun Strowman gives him the big embrace, right? He's like, if you need anything, you know I'm here. Braun Strowman's your guy, right? And not to mention, you have a built-in feud for the Universal title immediately. You got Braun and you got Drew McIntyre. It's right there in front of your face. And so if you look at it right now, Brock Lesnar won the title. I'm telling you right now, Brock is going to hold that title he's going to hold it for a while because who's the only person on Raw right now that is credible enough to beat him? And I will wait for your answer because there's only one name and he's not actually credible, but he's the only name on the list that I could even formulate in my brain and say, oh yeah, maybe they'll put it on him. Drew, that's it. There's nobody else. Dean Ambrose ain't beating him. Seth Rollins ain't beating him. Nobody else on that roster is fucking beating Brock Lesnar. They put this belt back on Brock. Why? Just someone. Rance, you said you could see some logic in everything, and I know you can, and I believe in you. Please give me the logic as to why they went back to this well, and we are literally right where we started when Brock first won that belt off of fucking Goldberg.
Before you do that, let me spit a little fire here. Can I say one thing that does make perfect sense, though, about the whole situation?
Yeah.
Of course Braun lost, because Braun started with the Wyatt family, and Braun is a Wyatt. And what do the Wyatts do?
Lose.
They talk shit, they kick ass, and then they lose.
Oh, and the other thing, Braun is now also a geek.
Oh, Braun is a Bray Wyatt level geek because he pulled a Wyatt. He talked mad shit. He caused mad chaos. He kicked mad ass, and then he lost like a bitch.
Speaking of Bray, could you guys within your suspension of disbelief believe that Bray being gone as long as he did pops pops back up and beats Brock for the title.
I'd be
Remember,
fine with it. I
because
don't.
remember, Brock and Braun,
I'd take anything.
Brock
I'd take
and,
anything.
but legitimately, because Brock and Bray was supposed to be a WrestleMania match until Ambrose
Yes, it
got hot.
was.
So this is a feud that was always supposed to happen.
It's the only outside of Drew. I don't know where else they could go, and that unless
Also
they're
would be
gonna
one of
wait.
the only way.
Here's the thing, because you cannot, like, if the idea is, you know what we'll do? I could just see Vince now. If you know what we'll do, pal, we'll let Roman beat cancer, and then as soon as he comes back, we'll take the belt off Brock with Roman. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what do you?
Well, short of that, it's one of the only ways to actually rebuild Bray Wyatt's character, because like they've done so much character damage to Bray Wyatt that only going up against Brock and beating Brock could resurrect that character.
There's nobody on the roster.
I would love for Bray to pull some supernatural shit and turn Heyman into his own version of Paul Bearer.
I mean, they do kind of have some similarities there.
I would love for him to turn Heyman into his Paul Bearer. Right down to I want Heyman to start talking like, oh yeah,
Wait. Dog. I can see Vincent Creative right now saying, damn it, pal, when Roman beats cancer. That is the funniest thing I've ever heard on the show. Legitimately. And by the way, Paul Heyman does an impeccable Paul Bearer, for the record.
That's the thing,
I would
guys.
work hard for it every time.
Listen, that's what I'm saying, though. Like, what are they building around right now? What are they doing?
That's why Brock upsets me the most, because I don't understand what the possible end game could be.
Right, because obviously the end game is not built around Roman Reigns. You don't know what's going to happen there.
They don't know the end game. They don't know the end game. I can tell you that. I really don't believe they know the end game.
I would agree with you. Yeah.
Here are the two reasons why you put the title back on Brock, why it makes sense. These are not two reasons why Rance believes make sense. These are two reasons why.
You're getting in their head as best you can, basically.
Number one, when a company panics and has a major egregious issue, you go back to the status quo.
Right. To what you know.
Brock is what they know.
Right.
He's a proven kind of draw. He's known this, that, and the other. Number two, I feel like now that he knows he doesn't have that one bankable star that's there every day, that he doesn't have to build, but it was already there, that he can build around. He doesn't have that right now. I feel that he now more than ever, he's calling Dana White and saying we need to cross promote. DC's fighting tonight. Brock, I bet you money Brock is there. Brock flew from Saudi Arabia straight to wherever the card is tonight, and take that shiny big ass red belt with you. Let's cross promote. So when they have this fight in February or whenever it is, we're gonna have this super cross promotion, and that will build WWE a higher profile situation, because we can't build around the things we had planned because our guy is gone. So anybody else that we put in that position has to be built. Braun, for as high as he is, for as over as he is, for as ready as he is not built in the eyes of the mainstream. So it's cool to give it to him.
Am I the only person, though, who feels like cross-promoting with UFC sounds good until your world champion gets knocked the fuck out in the middle of the octagon? Because I think Cormier's going to make Brock his bitch.
So
we don't know about that. That's the only thing. That's an unknown.
We can talk about the fight.
That's fine. I firmly believe
the fight. I don't even care about the fight. What I want to talk about is, you just said it. Cormier's fighting tonight, right?
Yeah.
What time does that match come on? Is it all? Are we watching it right now? Has it happened? What time does it start? Because I want to know if Brock Lesnar's in the crowd and if he's got that fucking belt with him. That's what I want to know.
Like he did when Cormier fought the last fight. Brock's not going to come out right before the fight happens.
That's what I'm saying.
UFC pay-per-views are a 5-fight card. They have fights all day, 5 fights card. So they'll come out about 10:45, 11 o'clock.
So we're pushing it right now. We're getting close.
Yes.
And I think that will tell us a lot, right? If Brock doesn't show up, then what is this? Well,
that's but again, that's just one possible scenario. That's
right. It's a theory.
You can still say the WWE champion versus the red belt champion versus the UFC champion. But to Cal's point, where I disagree with you is, and this is why we're wrestling fans. We're in a bubble. This is why when you're outside of that bubble, in real legitimate fighting, whether you get beat, not get your ass knocked out, whatever it is, it doesn't matter in the eyes of fans because they know it's a real sport and anything can happen. Right?
Right.
In wrestling, you're booked. So somebody's choosing for you to lose and how you lose. In MMA, you can slip up and get knocked out. Anderson Spider Silva is the greatest fighter ever. He lost the fight because he didn't check a kick. And his leg
Right.
snapped.
His leg snapped so bad that like it hurts my soul to see him.
Yes. So
Yeah.
and
Man.
let me give you the most perfect example. Go back to that Conor and Habib fight. Conor got destroyed by the best wrestler in the world, and nobody cares because Conor's still Conor. So whether
Right.
Brock gets destroyed or not by CC, which is we don't know, DC will probably open as I'd say a 3-point favorite if you do points. You're a betting man, Karl, but
He won't be a huge favorite, but
he'll be the favorite to start
he
out.
will be the
fight
favorite
gets
to
out
win
of
the match.
first
Yes, he
if
will be
that
the
fight
favorite.
gets out of the first round, I'll be shocked.
I'll be shocked if it doesn't go 3 because
I think it'll.
Brock doesn't get knocked out or lose like that. Every fight Brock loses
Brock
has
will
gone
tap.
time.
You're gonna have to catch. You'll have to catch
Yeah.
it. But we're not here to
No, that's not
dissect
the point.
UFC.
But what
Yeah.
I'm saying is, even if Brock loses the worst way possible, it still looks fine because it shows that WWE guys can hang with UFC guys. Because the idea again, we are fans. We're wrestling fans. We are in our bubble. We don't see the way we're viewed outside of wrestling. Real sport fans look at wrestling fans like we are idiots. They
Right.
don't
Oh
think
yeah.
our athletes, until this performance center thing came around and real athletes go to performance center and see it's better than other training centers, they didn't believe that our athletes can handle real sport things.
All I'm saying
So
is
it
anybody who
looks
doesn't
good.
believe the performance center is a success, look at these indie guys when they sign and look at them 2 years later. I'll give you a perfect example. Hi, Roddy.
That's all he said that for. That's the only reason he said that.
Listen, I want to say this though because I
You
think
know
it's
that.
very important.
That don't matter.
I am one guy,
Shoot your shot,
okay?
brother.
And my opinion is my own opinion, but I'm just one person. I've been watching wrestling for a pretty good long time now, and I've had my moments where I've walked away. And I'm not saying I'm not going to watch WWE anymore or anything like that. I'm not going that far. But I will say this: I have not been tuning in much lately. Okay, I tuned in to see Roman because Roman is my guy, and that was an emotional moment. I watched the Dean Ambrose Seth Rollins thing in the same night. That's the most wrestling I've watched in a good while, outside of the Evolution pay-per-view, which I really enjoyed.
You also work every night, so that's another reason.
True, but here's the thing: my interest has been waning recently. Brock Lesnar getting the title does not make me want to tune in. It doesn't. And it's not because I care. Like, I'm the kind of guy who's like, I don't really care about the championships, and I don't care. Like, I don't care in the fact that, like, if you're on TV and you have the championship, I'm cool, right? Like, that's it. That's the only way I care about it. Like, I don't care who has it as long as they're there. I want you to be there. Like, you are the guy. Like, if you're the guy they've chosen, I want you to be there on the show that I watch. That's it. If Brock Lesnar showed up to every Monday night like Roman Reigns would have done or like a Braun Strowman would do, I would have no beef with Brock Lesnar being the champ. None. But I'm not about this life where it's like, oh, well, the Universal title is special. No, it isn't. Because if it was, Bill Goldberg wouldn't have won it. I'm sorry. Goldberg was there just to show his kid that he could be a superhero. Like, I don't give a fuck. The Universal title is not special. That it's not a special attraction. It's WWE. We want to see our championships. Not even our championships. We want to see the guy who has the title there. That's what we want to see. I don't care who has it. Put it on Kalisto. I don't care. Just have him on the show.
No.
I would argue.
Vince,
listen, if Kalisto beat Braun, so he could beat Brock. All right.
No, I would argue, though, Karl, that part of the reason people's interest is waning isn't about who's got the title, like you said, but I would argue it's more that, like, they're not putting their best foot forward in creating engaging stories across the card. They might have a handful in spots, but they don't have consistently from 8 to 11 or from 8 to 10, story after story after story that's moving you. Like, I was singing SmackDown's praises for months because for a while there, they had found this stride where they had like a dozen storylines going on and all these characters crossing over and all this interaction between people, and it was engaging. They're not doing that consistently every week.
So before
they've gone
I
back
agree
to
with
the
you.
variety show format.
Yeah, and the
Before
variety
we
show
move
is
on
not listening to me.
from Brock fucking Lesnar, before we move on from this guy, I just want to, and obviously he's probably going to hold the belt to Survivor Series
Oh,
and
please,
face
he'll probably
AJ
hold the belt till
again.
at least
Woo!
Royal Rumble.
Let me ask you a question. With Roman Reigns' return, we don't know when that will be. We have no idea.
If
Okay.
ever.
Who's next for Brock? Who's next? Who's the next challenger, like real challenger for Brock? Because we know AJ, that's a cross-brand thing. Who's next? If you guys had to give an answer, a real answer as to who he will be going up against and who they'll build a story around, who's it going to be? I'm just curious.
You want me to go first? You want to go first?
I think Baron Corbin is building himself up to challenge for the title because he thinks he's that damn good.
Okay.
Bray Wyatt.
Okay.
I would love for it to be Bray because I would love for Bray to win.
There's a reason he's been gone this long. And again, I know this isn't necessarily canon, but that Aleister Black story about who the leaders are of the locker room was telling. He said the leaders of the locker room were Roman, Seth, Finn, and Bray. They know what they got in Bray. They understand what they have in Bray. He had to move down the card for various reasons, but I know they know the gem they have in that man. And the best part about it is, when you're talking about building a story, there's not 5 talkers better on that roster than Bray Wyatt.
No.
Whether you believe what he's saying or not,
right.
The way he says it and what he says is engaging as all hell.
But here's the thing: if they're going to do that, they can't just randomly bring him back for Brock. I don't think.
Why the fuck not? Why not?
Because he's looked like a douche in everything he's done since the last time he was a douche.
Okay, but
like, you know what I mean?
Let's be realistic. Let's be realistic and talk about the person we're talking about. People have when Joe fought Brock the first time, he's never looked better in his entire career. He got squashed.
Right.
When Braun fought him the first time, he's never looked better. He got squashed. Roman has looked great going into every single time he's fought him. He's got squashed except for one time, and the reason he didn't get squashed because Braun distracted him. So when Seth fought him, Seth looked great. When Cena's fought him, Cena's looked great. When Ambrose, it doesn't matter how you start going into it, because Brock is gonna be Brock regardless, and that's the most egregious thing about Brock having the title. I don't care about him being gone or not. That doesn't bother me like it bothers other people. What bothers me is it's rinse, wash, repeat. It's the same promo. It's the same build. It's the same match. If it was different, then I wouldn't care as much. And the biggest issue about this whole situation isn't Brock winning the title. It's him squashing Braun. Had they had a 15-minute barn burner and he barely beat him, we wouldn't care today as much.
That's twice now he's had singles matches against Braun and squashed his ass. Yes. And Braun is useless. Like, at this point, who gives a shit about Braun?
Braun had
at this
one
point?
offensive move, a kick.
Also, Karl, Bray's got some credibility issues, but he's still, even with all his shit booking lately, he is still more credible than our boy Jinder was when Jinder won the title.
That's true.
Braun is a
but
former
Jinder didn't
WWE
have to beat
champion.
That's true, but Jinder didn't have to beat the unstoppable Brock Lesnar. Jinder had to beat MAGA Randy Orton.
But who's to say that when Bray come back, he don't have Harper back with them, and they're just running face Wyatts?
Listen, let me tell you something.
All about Bray and Luke being together. I know that Luke's got potential. I know that Luke's got potential that they're never going to fucking give.
Yeah.
But I'm fine with Bray and Luke being together because they like peas and carrots. They just go together.
Luke Harper is American Cesaro.
Yes.
Let me just say this. Once again, we are, like I said earlier, we're back to where we started. I don't give a fuck who they put the Universal title on. I don't care. They could put it on Dakota Kai right now. She beats Lesnar with kicks, and I'm down. And I'm down. They could have the lady of NXT, Lacey Evans, come in and take out Brock Lesnar with some Marine shit.
we know
and
that
I'd be
Brock's
down.
got a thing for tall blonde bitches.
I'm just saying, anybody.
You let her hit him with the women's right.
What I have in one of my, in one of the classes that I'm in right now, there is a chick who wears this shirt like every other week. I see her, and it says anybody but Trump. That's what it says. Okay, I want the same design, and all it needs to say is anybody but Brock. I don't give a flying fuck. Put it on whoever you want. The geek Finn Balor for all I care.
Another reason for it to be Bray. Another reason for it to be Bray. Bray's already got an anybody but you promo.
He does. Yeah.
It's already prepared.
And Bray's a face.
But you, Brock.
And Bray's a face right now. And I mean, based on kayfabe, for the last time we saw him.
So we need to move on to the last part of this show that we haven't talked about.
And this is not the most egregious part because it was Brock, but that's okay.
It's not, but I'm going to hit you guys with the scenario, and you tell me what you think. First, let's explain what happened.
Hate it.
Miz versus Ziggler was the final, and Miz, we thought was because Drew was by his side, by Dolph's side the entire time. I legitimately thought Miz was gonna play the baby. Cool. Miz very early in the match gets hurts his leg, and I mean he's trying to use those acting chops. He's trying hard as hell. He's screaming, "I've never been hurt before. I can't be hurt. I can't be hurt. I'm never hurt. I can't." He's trying to get on his leg. He can't do it. And Greg Hamilton is announcing that Miz can't compete again. The ref is saying this. Corbin's out trying to figure out what's going on. And Shane says, no, it's not going to happen. Because if you remember, on the last SmackDown before Crown Jewel, Shane said, whoever makes it to the final, if you lose, you don't have a home on SmackDown anymore. So the whole thought was Shane wanted to be Stephanie so much that he'd fire the guy that lost.
I mean, Shane needs that cocaine money, man.
So he loves Miz so much that he went out there to fight for his honor?
No, Shane needs the money so badly so he can buy more cocaine that he went out there to fight for the purse.
But I mean, obviously it sounds like he didn't want Miz to get fired for losing, so he came out there to defend his honor.
He didn't want SmackDown to lose without a shot. So he said, I'll fight Dolph. And he proceeds to take off his jacket, proceeds to take off his shirt, and does his best Dean Ambrose impression.
Look just like him.
While we, Americanized, jaded fans, are sitting there shitting on this, Riad lost their minds, and we're super hot about it. And Dolph proceeded to get squashed because Drew got kicked out, Corbin got kicked out, and it was just the biggest. Oh, by the way, Cole, who was on point, who was losing his mind because like Raw was getting shafted. The referee was a SmackDown referee, so the fix was in. Anyway, Shane hits the coast to coast, pins him 1, 2, 3. That's it. So, two things. Number one,
you hate wrestling.
Have come out. No, well, I'm a Shane mark. So this is disgusting, but I'm not as pissed about this as a lot of other shit. The only thing that bothers me is it just don't make no motherfucking sense. Number one, the reports are, if you believe the reports, that the whole point of the World Cup tournament was for Shane to win from the very beginning. This wasn't audible. This was the plan the entire time because Shane is turning heel. And if you watched him win and how he acted after he won, like he had fought 60 minutes and he's
the best in the world, damn it.
Yes.
So Shane's turning heel. So like Shane and Paige are about to do Stephanie and Kurt all over a fucking again.
Pretty much.
Because we really are right back where we started.
Pretty much. Then, now, forever. Remember that. Part 2. This is where we're going to get.
Is now forever.
There you go. This is going to be a little controversial. I had a good debate with my big homie and friend of the show, graphics designer extraordinaire, Mr. Mike Fergus. If you guys don't know who Mike Fergus is the guy who's done almost every logo for Social Suplex, including the wonderful Outsider's Edge one you guys see. Friend of the show, good guy. He's a Chicagoan. Being a Chicagoan, he is a CM Punk stan. Stan, not a fan, a stan. So Mike and I got into a bit of a heated discussion, and it was all friends, all love at the end of the day, where he posted out a tweet saying that AJ Styles is about to um if he wins at Crown Jewel, he'll most likely go to WrestleMania, and he's about to break um CM Punk's record. I'm happy it's him, but this is absolutely a bitter, jealous exit move. And I was like, well, bro, chill. Everything ain't about Punk. And it was like, very clearly it is. And I was like, it's not clear because every title reign recently has been broken. All of them. Except for IC, and Miz took that to like the week. US title reign was broken by Ambrose a few years ago. New Day broke it, the tag titles about 2 years ago. Um, Nikki beat AJ's record. Um, Pete Dunne's held the title for 500 plus days. Brock held it for 500 days. Like this is just the age of really long title reigns. Well, his next response was, well, this company is very clearly paid against CM Punk. They have a tournament talking about the best in the world. When you think of best in the world, who do you think of?
Chris
And I was,
Jericho.
I do too, but I get his point. I know, yeah, it's the Chris Jericho thing. That was my retort to him, was that, well, best in the world is a very known phrase used in a lot of sporting events and always for decades. But if you're talking wrestling, just recently, before Punk used it, Jericho used it to a much very big point himself. But anyway, I'm building us up, or as Carl would want me to say, I say all that to say this. I was like, and I told him to his face, and this is my friend, so I can say this: you crazy as fuck. I thought about everything. I really, really thought about it because I am the type of arguer that I am not going to defame your argument. I will listen to it and really think about it. If the plan was for Shane to win the whole time, and they used the moniker "Best in the World," at least, like if you did a drinking world Best in the World, you'd be drunk after like the second match because they said it so much. The two guys who were in the finals are both natives of Ohio, which is the state where Punk walked out and where Punk had his last MMA fight. And then Shane gets in the way he does, wins, and effectively shits all over the best in the world thing. I don't think it was a veiled attack at Punk, but damn, that's a lot of coincidences.
I mean, to be fair to the people arguing, people were making piss ass arguments when all those other title reigns were broken too.
Yes.
When the New Day held the tag titles, people said, well, it's just because it was Demolition's record they broke, right?
Yes, they're on
Yeah.
the
And they're on the
lawsuit.
lawsuit. Yeah. When AJ record was broken, they very
get at
clearly
Punk.
said it's because she's married to Punk, et cetera, et cetera. So, like, these whiny fans always stay whining. Because, Rance, I should be able to always only complain about things that bother me.
Here's the thing. Fuck CM Punk. Like, I don't care about any of that shit.
Fuck him.
I don't give a shit about CM Punk. What I give a shit about is making this big deal. And here's the thing. This is a selective outrage thing to me, like we were talking about earlier,
Sure.
because everyone was all up in arms about, oh, this tournament doesn't mean shit. They just made a bunch of them.
But now they
blah, blah,
yeah.
blah. But now all of a sudden we're mad that Shane McMahon won.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit about the Shane. First of all, anybody who watches wrestling knows that Shane McMahon is not the best in the world at probably anything.
But Karl, he has the title and he has the cup.
Right.
He's the best
Here's
in the world.
The issue, like you said before, Rance, it's just fucking stupid.
Yeah.
If you think about it, you could literally use, for Shane, what's Shane going to do? He's 47 years old. He's going to come out and be like, he's going to come out on Tuesday and be like, well, I won the best in the world tournament, so I'm clearly the best in the world. And that's his heel thing. Nobody's buying that shit. Like, if you gave it to the Miz will use that as a crutch, and he'll make it look good.
Even Ziggler.
If you gave it to Ziggler, yeah, he will do the same damn. They'll make it look good. Shane will not make it. It will not be legitimate feeling for Shane. What you were talking about earlier, none of this matters, right?
Yeah.
But if you ever want to have any kind of storyline ramifications, you just kind of blew it, because you wanted the Saudi crowd to pop, and that's fine. Whatever.
This is built into the men's.
Right, the Survivor
SmackDown
Series.
Yeah.
Here's what worries me. History has shown me within the last, or at least over the last several years, less McMahons on my television is generally indicative of quality. So the more McMahon presence on my TV screen causes some concern.
Here's the thing.
Anytime too many McMahons are hanging around, the quality of the show tends to take a dive.
Here's my opinion on this. Shane is the worst McMahon to have on TV all the time, in my opinion. I'd rather see Stephanie. I'd rather see Vince. I don't want to see any of them that much anymore, but I'd rather see those two before I see Shane, because Shane's
always a stooge. Shane is always a stooge, never a kingpin. That's the problem.
Let me tell you why I disagree with both of you. I'd rather see Shane more than the other two. At least now in 2018.
Right.
Because if this was 98, I would still say Vince, clearly, because Vince was the best character in 98, even better than Austin. But because
Shane would have been my number 2 in 98, because Shane was a great lackey.
Yes. But my reasoning is because I want my authority figures, as I've been bred to believe, to be able to be hit or be in a fight.
Right,
Paige
back it up
get
or
into
whatever.
any altercation. Stephanie will rarely ever get into any altercation unless it's a woman of her standing, aka a Bella or a Ronda, right? And so, and Kurt, for the longest, we didn't think he would ever be touched. Brian couldn't be touched because he was still not cleared. So we've been in this rut of all these authority figures where you just got to take the shit they say to you. It was so refreshing, even though the story, the way it happened was dumb, but I was refreshing when going into 33, when AJ and Shane had beef because Shane kept interjecting himself and couldn't let the Kevin Owens Sami Zayn beef go and kept interjecting himself in AJ's life. And AJ said, "I'm sick of this," and put his head through the damn windshield. Because for once, as we've been bred to believe in wrestling, the wrestler was able to take out his frustrations on the authority. I appreciate that, which is why I still like Triple H when he comes in as an authority role, because he can do that. We don't see that anywhere else. So it's like the stuff Corbin is doing right out of people. It's refreshing to see him get his ass beat every week.
And that's my question. Let me counter real quick before we're finished. Why not Corbin instead?
Well, the question was we're talking about the McMahons.
Well, I know, but what I'm saying is
what
I'm saying is in this instance where we chose Shane, right? Why not have Ziggler take the injury and let it be Corbin who wins the best in the world?
Because Corbin's not beating the Miz.
Well, that number one, and number two, because Corbin.
I mean, Shane just beat Ziggler.
But hold on.
McMahons can beat anyone.
Right, but no, legitimately, hold on. The reason Braun lost the match is because Corbin hit him with the title.
Right.
Braun's coming after Corbin, so he's busy.
Yay.
Corbin's busy because he's gonna be running from Braun all night Monday.
That's true. That's fair. I
better call Kevin Owens. Kevin,
like you said before, Rance, and this is like we've been saying this whole time. When you start, this show was supposed to be what we thought was going to be a glorified kind of house show, and kind of like the Greatest Royal Rumble was. There were no true ramifications that came out of that. This show felt like a change of course, and we're building storylines out of this. So now you've got Corbin and Braun. You still got Drew in there somewhere. They haven't settled their thing. Now you've got Shane. This is the one time where unpredictability kind of sucks, because everything that they could have done was it felt like the worst decision ever. It felt like Vince McMahon and Vince Russo got in the back, snorted like 18 lines of cocaine, and were like, you know what, pal, this is what we should do. And like,
It'd be funny if Shane won the World Cup tournament, wouldn't it?
right,
Book it,
and I
brother.
know this was built for the Saudis, but like, if you're gonna build it that way, you got to stop it right there. Because now, if you're gonna turn this into this whole thing with Shane McMahon, it's just gonna turn people off. I feel like maybe not. I mean, I
It
like
might not.
Shane to a
Yeah.
degree.
It's all in the build up. It's all in the follow up. But also, we have to acknowledge that the booking is in disarray right now because every plan they had was largely built around Roman being there.
It was, especially on
So
that Raw
on
side.
the Raw side, because the SmackDown side is still fairly competent.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing though. Like, this is why you wonder sometimes because so Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins have their thing going right now, right?
And they're gonna be kind of on their own. They're kind of
Right.
gonna be
And
in their
but
own
that
lane.
wasn't really like it wasn't really a thing at the Crown Jewel, from what I understand. Like Dean didn't get
Ambrose didn't show up.
involved.
Yes.
Right. So if you're skipping that kind of story and you're like, we're not going to pay attention to this story, but now you're going to focus on these other things. It's like, what is story and what isn't, and what are you trying to do with this show? You know what I
Well,
mean? Like it felt very discombobulated. That's a
from
good
the
word
Dean
to use.
situation, it fits because the whole story behind them is Seth really doesn't understand Dean. That's pretty
Right.
much the story. Because Dean was hurt all those months. He said he was upset that nobody checked on him as much as they should have. He comes back. He gives up everything and all his ambition to be with his brothers because they need him. And all of this. Roman leaves because of his whatever happens to him, and they still have to fight for the titles. Dean's like, okay, I get the title for you once, but then I'm gonna let you have it. And Seth's
And now Dean
promo,
won't talk.
well,
So
yeah,
now Seth is totally confused.
right. Seth's promo before Dean came out was great. He said, you know what? Maybe what I did was just that unforgivable, And he was like, and he said something very poignant. I don't think a lot of people caught on to. He said, Dean sometimes gets into that lunatic head of his, and he's one to a lot often just kind of go on his own way, and he'll go away for a minute, and this that he'll drift off. I haven't called him all week because I know he'd be here. If me and Karl or me and you got into that big of a fight, I'm calling you and like you fucked me over or something. I'm calling you the next day. What the fuck was wrong with you?
Right.
He didn't call for a week. So when Dean came out there, he had nothing to say, and then Seth insulted him. Said you are that much of a lunatic, because before with Dean and Seth and Roman and the Brotherhood, the word lunatic was a term of endearment, almost like a funny little tag. Now it's one of those, they're not laughing with me, they're laughing at me. So it makes sense that Dean wouldn't attack Seth at Crown Jewel because one, he wasn't advertised to be there, but two, he's still figuring out in his mind what is he doing. Maybe when he came out Monday, he felt bad about what he did to Seth. And then Seth attacked him because he wouldn't talk. And now he's mad again. He's getting his mind together because he is, in fact, a lunatic. This is
On the
what
fringe.
on the look at you putting things together. But real quick, one thing I want to get your guys' opinion on before we put a bow on Crown Jewel, because we spent like an hour and a half on this shit.
Well, it
Um,
fucking sucked. I didn't even
what
watch it. It sucked. Go
what do
ahead.
y'all think about the possibility of Miz turning babyface?
No. I love Miz, and I think he would get cheered as a babyface, but he's too damn good an antagonist.
Here's the thing. I disagree with you, Kyle. Here's the thing about Miz as a babyface. He's already a babyface. They love the Miz. They love him. And here's the thing: Miz can be Miz and still be a babyface because he's been a babyface. We've been sitting here saying that Daniel Bryan's the heel in their whole feud the whole time anyway.
Hmm.
Miz is a babyface. He can come out there and say the same damn things he's saying. Everybody's gonna be like, "Show me the lie."
I
Like,
don't I don't want him to turn only because I need to see Miz Bryan done at WrestleMania. But
It'll
if
work.
the reason that they're possibly talking about turning Miz babyface is because the void with Roman being gone is so big that they're trying to turn people who are on the fringe, no pun intended, like like Braun was, like Elias was, and now maybe possibly Miz, to offset that big, huge void on the show. Because Seth is going to be involved with Dean very closely for the next few months. So that's one guy that's off the radar, essentially, right? Bray might come back, might not. That was just me. Finn is up back on the build. So it's and remember, right now, Seth is your top champion because Brock ain't coming around. So he's gonna be involved in a feud that involves somebody else for a while.
I
So
mean,
the baby's got to be around some way,
I
The
somewhere.
mean,
problem with that
turning
is like you need someone for AJ. You know, like I mean, he's the babyface champion, world champion. You need somebody that kind of blew their load there with Bryan because he didn't go to Saudi Arabia. They already had the match. So the reason, like to me, the next logical person is the Miz in that heel role. To me, like, but I don't know. Like maybe Shane says I'm the best in the world because I won the cup, but now I'm coming for the WWE title. I don't fucking know. Like I don't know what they're doing.
I don't necessarily want them to turn Miz, but I will say that turning Miz will work because if you know anything about Mike Mizanin, he's just an incredibly likable person. Like, just incredibly likable
Yeah,
as a human being, and it will work.
it'll
Miz
work
is
because
just
he's
a
also he's
likable person.
headlining his own television show right now.
He's a great
You know, Yeah.
Yeah. Well, but that's what I'm saying. Like, even in the days of the trash reality TV that he used to be on,
right.
he was known as the nice guy. And he's always been that, like, nice guy. And so it will work because people will want to cheer him. He's good looking, he's charismatic, and he's a genuinely likable person.
One guy
I,
you can give for AJ as a stopgap is you can kind of build Andrade up over the next month.
Yo, push Andrade. More Andrade on
Okay,
my screen,
forget
please.
forget push Andrade. Book Andrade first, then push him.
how about
He's not even on TV.
how about Book Sanity? I'm just kidding. I just
They're
had to throw
booking
that out.
themselves actually. I don't know if you pay attention, but they've been doing this series on Twitter and Instagram where they're trying to build like their own steam and tell stories and stuff. And it's cool. I don't give a shit about it, but I'm sure somebody
No,
does.
you know what? I'd be fine with them booking. Let's book more tag teams than just the New Day
And the bar.
and the
Usos.
Bar.
Oh, and by the way, you want to really be out the box? The Usos have 2 wins over Bryan and AJ. Book a triple threat between AJ, Jimmy, and Jay at
I'm
TLC
down.
in a ladder match. I'm with it.
I'm down
Right?
until AJ wins, and I'm mad again.
He's not gonna beat the
I
Usos.
mean,
No,
fuck
he's not
it.
gonna lose.
Fuck it. Bring up Alistair. I don't give a shit what they do, but do something.
I'm with it.
Do something.
I'm with it. But the thought process to me was AJ will lose it at the Rumble to Miz. Bryan will win the Rumble. Miz, Bryan finish it off at Mania.
It could
I
be
don't believe
worse,
that's
though,
gonna happen
y'all.
anymore. Yeah, you're right.
I don't either.
It could be worse, y'all. They could be Ring of Honor, and their survival of the fittest tournament includes such star-studded names as Colin Delaney
And PJ Black.
and PJ Black.
And the all world famous Luchasaurus.
Yeah.
You know your card's bad when your one of your headliners is Luchasaurus.
You know your card's bad when the tag team match featuring your tag team champions versus your world champion and your television champion isn't the main event.
You know you're bad when your tag champions don't even involve the most over guy in that stable.
You know you're bad when your Universal Champion is Brock Lesnar and the winner of the Best in the World is Shane McMahon.
We were talking about Ring of Honor.
No,
So
you know you're bad.
I'm not
No,
sure
I'll
who's
go
worse
back
right
to-
now.
I'll go back to Ring of Honor though and say you know you're bad when the only over people on your roster are over because of their own web series.
You know you're bad when in 2 months and everybody over on your roster is leaving, and you're stuck with Jay Lethal and Jeff Cobb.
You know you're
That's it.
bad when in your main event of Crown Jewel, the one guy who's in shape leaves injured.
I need a mute button like Tony Reali on Around the Horn. I need a mute button.
What do you mute me for? Facts?
No, we're
I
just
need-
muting you because you're bringing them in at the wrong time. We're shitting on Ring of Honor right now.
Listen,
We gave Crown
I'm just
Jewel an
letting you
hour
know
and
that it
45
might
minutes.
not be as far apart as you think it is. That's all I'm trying to say.
We gave Ring.
You know what the problem is?
What?
We need Roman Reigns. That's the problem.
Don't
Get
start
well
me.
soon, Roman
Don't start.
Reigns.
Get well soon, but please don't start me on that because my God, I have. Don't start me on that.
Well, you know me. You know I'm a Roman Reigns guy. I've always liked Roman. And get well soon because, good Lord, we need you over here. I'm just saying.
Kyle, explain to our brother how hard I went on people after the announcement was made.
Well, Brother Rance was quite heated at the
That doesn't sound like Rance. I don't know.
conclusion of the announcement period because he felt some type of way about people who wanted to preface their get well messages with "I didn't like the character, but."
It's just you guys spent 4 years. I'm talking about the people who didn't like him. 4 years going out of their way to hate everything this man did. You hated the vest he wore. You hated how he walked through the ring. You hated that he rubbed his hair back. You hated that he wore blue contacts. You hated everything. You hated that he supposedly lost his breath after 10 minutes in a match. You hated everything about him. Now you find out that the man's been fighting with a life-threatening disease for 11 years, and well, I like Joe now. Roman still sucks, but I like Joe. Like, number one, very clearly this should show you that there's a lot more important things than how a fucking match is booked. Number two, why do you feel so important to make this about you? Oh, well, Roman, I still hated Roman, but I like Joe. I wish Joe the best. Why even say that? Just wish him the best, or shut the fuck up.
Let me ask you a question. This is going to sound really bad. This is a great way to end the show, probably. If Brock Lesnar came out on Monday and was like, I also have cancer, do you think we'd get "Thank you, Brock" chants?
Yes, I really do, because the crowd still cheers him. The crowd appreciates Brock.
I know.
It's
We
us
all.
on the IWC that don't like Brock. The
No,
live crowd still
I
appreciates
hate
him.
Brock. I don't want him to die or anything.
But then he's also very publicly has fought life-threatening diverticulitis. So
That's true.
he actually has been Roman. Now cancer is not diverticulitis, but Brock was at the point of death. So you can make him similar in that respect. So yes, I do think he'd be appreciated because they understand what he's put his how he's put his body on the line for us.
I appreciate all these fuckers. Just could we not put the Universal title on Brock? That's it. That's all I ask. Brock can do whatever he wants. He can come out every week with an Outdoorsman magazine and his rifle and like a deer head. Like I killed this in Canada, and I'd be like, sweet, awesome, Brock. Please don't win the title ever again.
Can we do a sign and trade? You know how UFC in one just traded Ben Askren for Mighty Mouse Johnson.
I don't know that, but I'll take your word for it.
Can we? Well, Ben Askren is a welterweight, like a legendary welterweight in one. It's a kind of a Chinese-based sports entertainment MMA organization. Mighty Mouse was the featherweight champion for like forever, and he finally lost. Mighty Mouse's trainer is the vice president of one. So UFC let him out of his contract so he can go to one, and one let Ben Askren out of his contract so he can come to UFC. So essentially, it's a trade. Can we do that with Ring of Honor and send Brock over there and get back the Elite or get back the Kingdom and Jeff Cobb or some shit like that?
How about like developmental? We could send Matt Riddle up to retire Brock.
He's already tweeting about it.
I know.
No, but let's trade for the Kingdom because we think the Elite are coming anyway.
Good point.
So let's trade for the assets we don't have.
Why break away from the Bullet Club if you're not leaving?
They've already broken away from the Bullet Club, Karl.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Why would you do that if you weren't already leaving anyway?
Well, that's not true.
Because the Bullet Club has been their staple for a while.
That's not true because
Bullet Club so much money on merchandising. Why run out of ideas when you can incorporate your own branding and logo and make even more money than you're already making on merchandising?
And Bullet Club is owned by New Japan.
The Elite is owned by them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they can monetize they can monetize their name, their likenesses. Whereas with Bullet Club shirts, they had to give something to Ring of Honor because they're using their not Ring of Honor,
All
New
I
Japan,
know
because
is
they're using
Cody
their
Rhodes.
property.
Cody Rhodes will be number 30 in the Rumble.
No,
He'll
he'll be number
win.
18. He'll be number 18.
He'll win,
Not 30.
and then he'll get squashed by Brock at WrestleMania. Sounds like a great WrestleMania 35.
Actually, I had Cody and AJ.
I'm down for that. Gimme, because Brock's squashing whoever he's
I'm
supposed to.
just down for Cody bringing the American Nightmare.
Persona.
Yes.
Will it sound the same if they announce him as Cody Rhodes again? Or because I've grown to like him being called Cody.
I am so here for them saying the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes. Like I am so here for it.
Well, I'm one of the guys that never gave a shit about the whole Rhodes thing, so maybe that's why.
No, it's not that I give a shit about the whole Rhodes thing, but like I just love how Dusty was the American Dream and he's the American Nightmare, and I just love that. I think that's great.
Oh, yeah, sure. I mean, I'm with it. Cody's been great with it. Before we go, did you want to touch on Power Struggle, or is that just for another day?
I haven't watched it yet, and I don't want to say anything until I get to watch it, other than the Tongans are right and I am wrong.
We are
Yeah,
right.
we are all wrong because
All
the Tongans are right.
All deference to the Tongans.
Power struggle. Y'all are talking about the election on Tuesday, right?
Well, that's the end of our show, guys. Thanks for listening. Kyle, let them know where they can find you.
You can find me on Twitter at Dr. S'mores.
Karl, I don't have to do this for you. First and foremost, hold on. Before we do anything else, I'm going to give you 2 minutes, 3 minutes to say whatever the fuck you want. Because you've been gone for like 17 weeks. Please, this is your time.
Tell
Thank
them all
you.
about that column you're writing.
Yeah, well, that's the very first thing I want y'all to know is there's a column coming soon. And
2022.
Soon is, it's very abstract, right? It could be anything. Like soon to Karl might be different than soon to Rance. I don't know, but it's coming. I promise. One of these days, soon. Outside of that, you find me on Twitter at OutsiderCurvin. Despite the fact that I'm never here, I still got the most followers on Twitter out of the three of us.
You
just
still
saying.
tweet the most.
Yeah, you are.
I do. I
got
got the following, and the problem is I'm never here to help promote. So I'm a terrible marketer. So I apologize, but I'm very happy to have been back. I'm glad to talk to you guys. And as I told you guys at the top of the show, did we even get it in the show? I don't think we did.
No.
That I know that the second I came back and started jibber jabbering with you guys about wrestling, I'd want to be here every week. So we're gonna have to try and work on making that happen. I'm there. I'm ready to go. This got me fired up. It got me rejuvenated a little bit. So we'll talk. Me and Rance and Kyle will talk. We'll see if I can't figure it out. And
until next
be back
week,
more
talk
often.
All indie and New Japan wrestling.
Yeah, I'm out on that. I'll figure it out. I mean, here's the thing, though. I watch about as much New Japan and Indie as I do WWE right now, so I might be able to bullshit that too. Yeah. That's it, guys. I appreciate you guys listening, and glad to be back for the moment, at least.
Well, brother, we have missed you. Personally, I've missed you. I talk to you every day still, but
That's
it's
true.
good to have you back.
Yeah, we love you, buddy.
Yeah, man. Kyle's joined this little family of ours, but this is something me and you started 8+ years ago. So it's always good to have you with me. So yeah, hopefully you're able to be on another show before WrestleMania.
We'll see.
I'll make it happen. Yeah.
I'll make it happen.
Survivor Series is looking to be a really good show, actually. So I'm excited for that.
I'm excited for Ronda versus Becky.
Yes, that's going to be a hell of a match.
Shinsuke
versus Seth. If Shinsuke is motivated, should be great. You should never have to say if somebody's motivated, but with Shinsuke, that's what we have to do. But so that's in 2 weeks. So hopefully we can get you back officially for the Survivor Series preview. But you can find me at It's Ray Cash, REY as in Mysterio, CASH as in dollars. Yes, we are a member of the Social Suplex Network. You have Grown Man Watch This Shit with Jeremy and Chris. Jeremy, aka James. You have the actual James in Enriching One Nation Radio. You have Keeping It Strong Style with young boy Josh and the other Jeremy, and two James, two Jeremys, right? And you have our brothers, Ricky and Clive. Shout out to Ricky. I don't think we gave Ricky enough Brox, but yes, so Brock, Brock.
And
And
shout out to Clive because
yes,
sometimes I feel like he doesn't think we want to shout him out too.
no, I probably talked to Clive more than all of y'all actually. So Clive knows he's appreciated. Yes, but Clive, love you guys both. And we also are a part of the Chairshot Radio Network, and you should
Always
always,
use your head.
my man, right on time. You can find both of those wherever you get your podcasts. Yeah, so check them both out. Yes, column's coming soon. What's funny is Karl and I are actually active columnists, and Kyle doesn't write. Watch Kyle write a column before both me and he do.
That'll
That's
be the
kind of
man.
how it happens. Yes. Well, you're the only one that actually currently writes, seeing as you're the teacher and the guy with 45 degrees. Um, but yes, we thank you guys for listening. We are not the negative show. We've never been the negative show. We've been the show that's tried to keep it real and be a voice of a air of freshness in a world of really really stinky shit. We try to be something different, try to give you a fresh perspective, try to look at things analytically, give you real fair opinions. But Crown Jewel was trash, and it deserved to be destroyed as we destroyed it. So next week we'll be back with that good old Outsider's Edge flair, and we hope you enjoyed this one, and we'll see you guys next week.
No, no,
Carl,
well,
tell him what we're all about, yeah.
no,
Oh,
no.
I'm sorry, yeah.
I want Rance to say the main sign off, and I'm gonna sign us off with one more thing. But I want Rance to
Oh
say
no,
to tell us all about
it's
what we
actually
do around
it's
here.
actually Kyle's job now. Yes,
Yeah,
Kyle
Oh,
does
I'm
well
not
then
have
normally
this
go
show.
ahead. But I get the last word this time. So go ahead.
okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we here at the Outsider's Edge are just a couple or a trio of relatively young men out here living our lives in the struggle. So if we said anything today that you disagreed with or that you didn't like, if anything that we said made you feel some type of way, just know that we're out here living our dreams and you've got to respect that. But if
I
you don't,
agree. And the
well,
last thing I want to say is before we sign off, a good night, everybody. On Tuesday, go vote, change the world.
Oh fuck you.
Yeah.
If you don't vote or if you don't like what we said, we don't give a fuck. Thanks for listening. Change the world, motherfucking ass. Whatever.